Good evening, Raider Nation. Welcome to another episode of Night Live. We're doing day 2 of the legal tampering period of free agency, where the Raiders have had a big day. They've gone out and had 5 signings today, and we're here to cover it. And joining me is NFL insider from Franchise Media Sports, Joe Arrigo.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? How are you today?
Man, you've been busy. You've been busy on them phone lines, haven't you?
Yeah, phone lines in the franchise group chat that you're a part of. You're seeing things and happen in real time, and something's about to happen. I'll give it to the franchise first, and then we kind of move on from there. So before I tweet it out. So yeah, it's yesterday I was gonna jump on and just got busy. Actually, about this time yesterday, funny story night is I actually was sitting here and let me eat real quick and have something to drink. And I sat down and I kind of put my hands over my eyes, like my 2 fingers on the bridge of my nose, between my eyes. I actually passed out for like 30 minutes till my grandmother called and woke me up. And I was like, yeah, so that wasn't going to happen. So it was a busy day. And then last night was kind of busy with some things. And then obviously this morning, woke up a little late, but things are moving hard with this thing, but they moved hard in a good way. If you really look at it, the Raiders really, they did a lot of good work.
And that's why I chose the Las Vegas stadium behind me being built and not like complete or a model of it, because that's what the Raiders are doing right now. They're building, dude, one piece at a time. They're structuring this thing out, and they're not overspending. They're just doing their due diligence and covering some real big needs on this football team.
Big time. And, it really started yesterday. Nick Kwiatkowski from the Bears,
Right.
He's the type of guy that if you're a Raider fan, you're going to love him. And when I mean love him, you're going to be like, that's the type of guy we've needed for a long time. He's a dirty work. When he rushes, he doesn't have to get sacks. He's going to like bull rush a tackle or a guard or even a fullback, drive him back to the quarterback and cause disruption. That's what you're getting out of him. He's a guy that could cover. He's a guy that can kind of do it all. He's like a jack of all trades, master of none. So he's just basically just a throwback linebacker that you need to have on a team. He's going to be your tough guy. Yeah. And then with Marcus Mariota, there is the guy that's going to come in and back up and push Derek Carr a little bit.
That's something we talked about Friday.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if we talked about it with Squeeze when he was on. He's a guy that when or if Derek Carr goes down, let's just say hopefully he doesn't, but he's a guy that's going to push him in practice. He's a guy that's going to, if Carr goes down, he's a guy that can come in and play right away and do some things with his legs. And I think he needed a fresh start. The same way you see with Ryan Tannehill, the same way. There's a few other quarterbacks that kind of, Derek Carr could be considered in that same group. In all honesty, he could be a guy that many people could consider needing a fresh start somewhere should things go awry this season. Absolutely. To get his career back on track. So he's a guy that did that. And then this morning, Corey Littlleton, that was one that they were working on really hard last night. There were a bunch of other teams that were in play. Green Bay was, but they're probably the next team that had the highest interest in him. But the Raiders could just pay more. And that played a major role in what Littlleton was thinking. He's a guy that can cover, can drop back. He really is an athletic linebacker that can go side to side and really do something that the Raiders haven't been able to do at the linebacker position in a number of years. And to get him for 3 years, 35 and a quarter million with 22 million guaranteed, that's less than what was expected. It comes out to like 11 million a year or something like that.
Just under 12 million a year. I was blown away by that number, by the way. I was like, wow.
Somebody tweeted me last night. I'm not going to retweet it, but someone was like, what is he looking for? 15, an average of 15 million a year. I said, give or take a few million. Yeah. I was told it was going to be about, 17 to even 18 million at the start of free agency to bring someone like that in. But what ends up happening is you get them at a much, much, more affordable rate. And now you have a guy that can really come in and do some different things that you really, really need. So for me, that was a huge signing. He was arguably the best linebacker available. And he's a guy that you can come in and get at that price. Then they turn around and get a guy that we talked about. I talked about at Linked on Friday. I've wrote about him.
You've been talking about him for a while lately.
Yeah. Malik Collins from the Cowboys. He's a guy there's genuine interest. Again, I was told this prior to the combine, and then at the combine, my people down there on the ground were like, Joe, like this is real. He wants, not only does he want to play for Marinelli, the Raiders are a great fit. You can play him next to Hurst. And the interesting stat is I believe he had 20 quarterback pressures last year or something like that. That would have led the team. That would have led the Raiders in quarterback pressures, and he's doing it from a defensive tackle position, which for me was a just as big as need as a linebacker was, because if you can create pressure up front with your big guys, that allows your secondary to cover
your safeties, your safety and linebacker blitz, bro. They can they can cover those lanes better.
Exactly, and you don't know where the pressure is coming from if you're a quarterback, which is big because again, if you got to have people at your feet, that's big. And then the Jason Witten signing, 1 year for $4.75 million. I see Raider Nation is a little bit, why do we sign him? I don't like it, or some people liked it. Look,
I get it. Trust me. We'll get. When you want to get into it, we get into it right now. But I get it, man. This is a good pickup.
Well, I agree. In fact, I think what he brings is a big red zone target, which again they were almost dead last in the red zone. Yep. He's a guy that knows what it takes to be on a winning team. He's been through the rigors of the NFL. He's been on both sides. Where a few years ago, when the Cowboys had the best record in the NFL, when they lost in Lambeau Field, when Dez didn't catch, but he caught, but he didn't catch the ball game, that team had the best record in the NFL. And when you look at it, it was one of those, like, I can't believe that they let him walk. I thought he'd be a Cowboy for life, but he brings in a gravitas that they haven't had, as if Brady would have been there, except Brady has rings, but he knows how to, he's a professional. And to have a guy to come in to Las Vegas where people are worried about what's going on, if they're going to be out partying, he's a guy like, no, he'll have everything under control, and he's not going to start. Like the Raiders have a top 5 tight end in Waller. He's not going to start over Waller. It means nothing to Waller other than he's got a backup. And this also means Foster Moreau has a little more time to make sure he's 100% healthy.
And not only that, Witten is actually going to get a lot of playing time, even not as listed as a starter. Because you got to remember, and this is the thing I want to throw out there when it comes to signing Jason Witten, we're a 2 tight end team. We like running 2 tight ends. Mayock said it himself. We need to get better in the red zone. This guy just made us better in the red zone. He likes to run 2 tight ends. They're going to load 7 in the box. You don't know if it's going to be Waller now or Witten coming out on the out pattern to get that ball. So it frees up all of it. We said get car weapons. This frees up everybody. And I guarantee you, we're going to get that receiver one way or another. It's going to be in the draft. You're going to get some speed on the outside. You got Williams, you got Renfro, you got Waller. Now you add Witten to the mix. This is lining up to be good, man. Witten can block too. He's just not a pass catcher. So this was an outstanding pickup. And you're right. Foster Moreau needs some more time to heal. This is the backup plan. We're solid there. We're solid.
But you're not getting Jason Witten from 7 years ago.
Okay, no, you're not. You don't need him.
Expectations.
Yeah, you don't need him though. You don't need that 7-year Jason Witten, right? You need a guy that knows how to get open. Short yardage guy. You're not looking for him to go deep.
He caught 63 balls last year, I think, which would have led the Raiders, or it's behind Waller, but it was more than Tyrell Williams, and he had 2 touchdowns to 4 from Tyrell Williams, and you're getting him at $4.75 million for 1 year.
And you still average 8.4 yards a catch, dude. So that's still really good numbers too.
Yeah, he's a first down machine. He just picks up first down after first down. I like the Witten signing. The next signing, they stayed in Dallas and got Jeff Heath for 2 years at $8 million. He's a safety. Look, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a big Jeff Heath guy. I haven't been for a number of reasons, and it's all on the field. I don't know him off the field. Now that may change once I get to meet him when the season starts and I start talking with him. In part because to me, he's Billy Bates with the Cowboys of the 90s. He was that special teams guy that they tried to make a safety because I'm gonna go hard. He's Rudy out there at the safety position.
Yeah,
and that's cool. But Demarius Randall's still out there. I still think they're in on Demarius. He's more of a playmaking safety. He's a guy at the free that will actually really complement Jonathan Abram really well. But here's the thing. For what Heath is getting paid, 2 years at $8 million, not only are you getting a guy like that's going to play special teams and be probably your best special teams player as a gunner.
That's why they got him.
You're also getting a guy that, let's say you do sign Demarius Randall, or let's say you go bring in, I don't know, maybe Eric Berry for a year, or let's say you go and you maybe trade a 3rd round pick to the Vikings for Anthony Harris because they're looking to move him. They're talking to Cleveland for a 3rd round pick right now. Let's say you to pull a deal like that. You have depth at that position, which again, if somebody goes down, like when Cujo went down last year,
right,
or when Abram went down, you have Eric Harris, and then you have a bunch of guys that you sign as free agents that you hope stick.
Yep.
So I mean, you're creating depth.
Depth piece, special teams piece. It's a value pick right there.
Yeah, and I like it though, because he's another glue guy, which is what you need. And then they went and got Carl Nassib of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of people remember him from Hard Knocks when he was with the Cleveland Browns. 3 years, $25 million, $17 million guaranteed for the defensive end. That one kind of made me raise my eyebrows a little bit. That's a lot of money for him. But he's also a guy that can get to the quarterback, and that's exactly what they need.
Exactly what they got him for, too. Very specific of what they went and got, right? Arden Key hasn't been producing on that side. You come and bring a guy like Nassib in, push Arden Key, rotational piece. You got Max Crosby, Cleveland Farrell now with Malik Collins, can be officially outside on the other side, contain the run. I think it was very specific. I think they're really diagnosing this right and putting pieces in that are not necessarily going to be long-term, but they're gap fillers, and they're going to go find stuff in the draft as well.
Yeah. And that's the big thing. The draft is still coming up. Oh. They still have needs. Now, what this tells me is I think they're leaning towards a receiver early in this draft.
Absolutely.
Especially with the 49ers jumping to 13. You're going to have teams. I wouldn't be surprised if you see some teams ahead of them. I wouldn't be surprised if Arizona took CeeDee Lamb at 9 to make Kyler Murray happy, and then go get some offensive linemen with the rest, with the rest of the draft, or maybe trade for a Trent Williams. I think Tampa Bay is going to be in play for him. So I could see them doing a lot of different things. But at the same time, I think you're looking at a Jerry Jeudy at 12 again, or my guy Justin Jefferson at 19. I think that's what you're looking at. And then even at that, let's say they take Jeudy at 12. I think Patrick Queen, or if Kenneth Murray is there at 19, that's to pick the other outside backer. Now you have real outside backers that can do
speed in hands all over. That's what we need. That's the hybrid defense I've been looking for the Raiders to build, especially going up against a team like Kansas City. And now we have all this quarterback movement with Tom Brady. Yes, guys, we can get off that wagon. He went to Tampa Bay. It's a done deal. But Jameis Winston's going to be available, and the rumor is that Cam Newton headed to San Diego. Is that what you're hearing?
No, Cam Newton to the Chargers. That's in play. Look, I'll pull back the curtain and say a few things. I know Fernando says the Cards have Hopkins now. They won't be drafting a wide receiver. Larry Fitzgerald's in the final probably year or two of his career. They need wide receivers. Yeah. Bottom line. Okay, let's be real. So I wouldn't put past Arizona to do that. As far as Cam Newton, I think teams to watch closely are actually going to be the Washington Redskins. And the reason why I say the Redskins, his former head coach is there. His former head coach brought in the guy that's going to be running the player personnel. So Ron Rivera has a lot more say with player personnel. I also believe, I know Cam Newton is from the Virginia area. So now you got a guy that could play in front of his family and his friends. I think the Chargers are an ideal fit as well with him, with Keenan Allen, a few other, everybody else they have in and around that offense. That's another really good fit. I don't think he'll get traded there. If he ends up in LA with the Chargers, I think it's because they cut him because it's gonna be the same amount. It's gonna be a $2 million hit either way it goes. I think Chicago could be a good fit, but at the same time with Chicago, who picked up Robert Quinn, and they got Mack and Quinn, which I'm more impressed with Quinn than I am Mack, but that's a whole nother story.
Right.
I think you're gonna see Cam have some suitors, but I do think the Chargers make the most sense. I don't think, I know there was like the talk early on yesterday about Jameis Winston coming to the Raiders. I really didn't think that was the case because Mayock wasn't a Winston fan coming out.
It made sense that Mariota is there. Totally.
No, it makes no sense now. So at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that's going on, but if Cam does go to the Chargers, that affects the Raiders in some way because now you have Mahomes, who's a passer, and Cam Newton's not a passer. He's more of a guy that can run the ball.
Right.
I would make him beat me with his arm rather than
inconsistent. Yep. Sometimes he's hot, sometimes he's not.
Exactly. And then in Denver, you Drew Lock's kind of a gunslinger, kind of, sort of, but
I haven't seen enough of him to figure him out just yet, but he could sling it. Yeah.
Exactly. So now you got, again, your defense has to be built around winning your division first and foremost.
Absolutely.
Like, the great coaches want to go 3-1 in their division every year. 4-0, 3-1. That's where they want to finish. 2-2 really doesn't. You have to win a lot of the games, obviously outside the division. But 3-1, you figure you can get 6 wins throughout the year. You're probably going to be a playoff team. The AFC got a lot worse too today. I mean, let's be real.
They took a hit.
The king. A lot of teams feel the king is dead. They smell blood in the water with Brady going to Tampa Bay.
Absolutely.
Yeah, with Kansas City. Yeah, you do have Mahomes, and they are the defending Super Bowl champions. But at the same time, you look at what Buffalo did by adding Stephon Diggs to that team, and they still have like 7 picks. I mean, crazy amount of draft picks that they still have. So they basically gave up a first rounder for Diggs because all the other picks are kind of towards the back end of those rounds.
Right.
You look. I kind of like what Jacksonville did. I love what Miami is doing. To be honest with you, to be point blank,
they're going to work.
Byron Jones. The Raiders offered more money. I'm gonna be real. They offered a little bit more, but the way it was framed in the contract, or the way they wanted to frame it, was it be spread out more for the duration of the contract, where Miami's just more upfront money, and he wanted to get paid right away. So that's kind of how he ended up there, even though the Raiders offered more money, the same way the Redskins offered $20 million more to Amari Cooper than the Cowboys, but he wanted to play in Dallas and not Washington.
So that's the one thing that I see that's missing from this list thus far is that other cornerback, maybe even a depth piece there. We talked earlier about Chris Harris. What are you hearing about Darius Slay? Is he still out on the trade block? And what are they asking for someone like him, or who else is out there that the Raiders could grab and really solidify that other side?
Chris Harris is the guy to keep an eye on. And that if that happens, it could happen today or tomorrow. They're in pretty big. They're in pretty deep with him. The same way they are with Demarius Randall. They were really trying to get Randall done yesterday. Detroit came in, so I think they're kind of bidding with Detroit for Randall right now. Slay would be interesting, and because someone had tweeted me, well, Harris is more of a zone corner, and they want to run more man. Do they? I mean, and to be real, Slay's more of a zone corner than Chris Harris. That's predominantly what he plays. And the knock on him coming out of Mississippi State was he's not a great man corner. So for me, I look at it as if you can get either one of those, I think you'd have to trade for Slay, and that may be something
Right.
that's more towards the draft or on draft day, because you got to look at, okay, how's this draft falling? Can I get a corner? Let's say Okuda's there at 12 from Ohio State. I mean, do you pass up on him?
You know what? It's hard to say. The idea is to take the best player available, so you want to say you go for that, right? But wide receiver is such a big need, and I don't know if the Raiders could overlook that though, bro, because that's hard talent that it's hard to find.
Exactly, and that's my point. So you have to find the right fit, and I would say for me personally, Harris is a better fit for a number of reasons, but he knows the division already. He knows how to play in Denver. He knows how to play in Kansas City, obviously in LA. He knows how the division works, and he knows kind of how it wasn't, or how it's how the division maneuvers and how the quarterbacks maneuver. So I like him a little bit more than Slay per se. But at the same time, I would definitely, there's other guys that are out there. Like I could see a guy like Josh Jackson, who was drafted in the second round by Green Bay a couple years ago. They've tried to do different things with him instead of putting him outside on a boundary as a boundary corner. He's a guy that I would keep an eye on, because I think they would like to move on from him, because they have Kenny King. Jair Alexander is arguably the best corner under the age of 25 in the NFL. They have their safety. So I can see that being a potential fit. Josh Jackson, I know Mayock liked him a lot coming out too. He had him as like his number 1 or 2 corner coming out that year. You got Xavier Rhodes that's out there now, and he'd be a guy that, to me, it would be kind of surprising, because Rhodes is long, and he's again, he could play press. He's a press corner. He's physical. So there's some guy. Tremaine Johnson's another one. So there's some guys that are out there, and you can probably get Rhodes and Johnson on the cheap more than you can Harris.
And I think the other interesting thing that I've been noticing too, and I was thinking about, is, this is Mike Mayock's real first free agency run. He had all year to prep for this. He's been really probably hitting his old tapes, looking at guys that he graded back when they were coming out of college, and looking at other tapes. So a lot of these picks like Nassib and even going after Witten, and just knowing what he's trying to get and what he's trying to piece around versus his draft board, I think this is a real methodical, and I think that there is a strategy being played here, and I think that's what's exciting. I can't wait to see it all really come together.
Me too, and it's starting to come together, and that's the thing. Guys, I just want to say off the rip, if you're watching this on the YouTube channels or on Periscopes, if you see me looking off or something, I have my email up on this, my DMs up on this, my phone is at my feet. This stuff could happen in real time. I'm just going to point that. So if you see me looking away, or I'm dropping the mic, because something may be happening, I may be getting a message. So I just want to give you guys the heads up if you're able to watch this on the YouTube channel or on the Periscope. So, but yeah, this is an opportunity for Mayock to show exactly what he can do as a GM. And, last year's free agency, he had his hands in it. Let's make no mistake about it. But John kind of was like, I want this guy. I want this guy. This is one of those situations now where Mayock's saying, this is the guy. Who do you want, John? Who do you want, Paul? Let's go get him.
Let's go get him. But he's had the whole season to be watching tape on everybody. He saw the list. He knew who may or may not be coming available. He had a lot more time to prepare and put names out in front of Gunther and Gruden to say, hey, out of this, what are we looking for? What do we need? There's just more time to plan for it. I think he did great last season too. He knows the players, he knows the league, but I just think, he's more seasoned. He was more prepared. And you're starting to see that. You look at the list, man. They're covering all the big needs that you're probably not going to see in the first round. And by getting those 2 linebackers, oh man, you land Queen or Murray, you're sitting really pretty at linebacker all of a sudden, when that was your weakest spot on the team last decade.
No doubt. And I think that's the other thing. You have the opportunity to you have the opportunity to make your team better, because they went and look at Kwiatkowski is a guy a lot of teams liked. He was not what fans don't necessarily know, like the fans that aren't dug in deep. But talking to a lot of NFL people, a lot of teams in the NFL liked him. This may end up being the best signing for the Raiders this whole offseason. There's a reason why he was the first one. Like, let's not make Littlleton. They could have got done for that price. They could have got him done yesterday. They could have got Malik Collins done. They could have got Heath done. They could have got Witten done. They could have got Nassib done. But they got Kwiatkowski done pretty quick. I mean, it was within the first like hour or so, you know, and it was one of those like, oh crap, let me go ahead and really take a hard look at this guy again. And just watching the film and then talking, I you know, hit some scouts up that I know with some execs like, hey, what do you think? And they're like, man, we love the signing. We love the signing. So I'm one of those guys where I think that maybe as of right now, the 6 or 7 guys that they've signed, that may be the best signing right now.
He's played on some good defenses, and I obviously had to go in and try to find what I could on him yesterday. I was like, I don't know who this guy is, to be honest with you. And to find out that this is going in his 6th season, but he's played on some good defenses. He's got some great skills. He only got his big opportunity last year due to injury, and now all of a sudden he's going to find himself in a starting role. I think he's hungry. He's hungry to prove himself, and I like that about him too.
All these guys are. If you look at it, even Witten's at a point where in his career where like he wants to win a ring.
Right.
And is that this year at the Raiders? Who says it's not? I mean, like realistically, if someone would have said to you last year the 49ers would be in the Super Bowl,
I would have said, yeah.
I think a lot of people tell you you're nuts.
Yep.
So,
I agree with that too.
You know, you don't know how the season's going to shake out. I mean, hell, Patrick Mahomes could tear his ACL, you know, and San Diego, but
I keep saying the same thing.
I always say that. Los Angeles, the Chargers going to do what the Chargers do. I mean, they're losing their running back. They've lost their quarterback. You know, that Hunter Henry can't stay healthy. They traded, you know, their left tackle. So, you know, they signed Brian Bulaga today, but Bulaga's he's a walking injury. As someone that follows and is a Green Bay fan and who's stocking him, he's a walking injury. There's a reason why Green Bay didn't get him locked in for a longer period of time. You don't just let great players or guys that are potential franchise tackles walk out the door, and Green Bay kind of let them go after 10 years. You know, so you never know what could happen. Again, like I said, New England's going to be down. That's why Buffalo's gearing up. Miami's gearing up. Everybody's gearing up. There's a reason for that because they feel the AFC is wide open.
AFC as well. It's AFC in itself is wide open, and you still got to take on the Chiefs. But I mean, you just add the CBA just went through. We got an extra playoff spot, an extra game, and an extra playoff spot.
Well, that's
people are going to be hungry. Not till 2021. Okay,
yeah,
I misread that.
Start 2021. In fact,
so that's even better than
right. And one thing, Knight, I want to impress is tomorrow. Don't look for a bunch of teams to announce signings. Because you still have to get physicals. You got there's a bunch of things that have to happen, and with the virus going around right now, that's not going to happen. So don't look for a lot of signings. You look for what you've seen the last couple of days. Don't look for a bunch of signings to come through and be like, you know, like, oh well, here's Knight at the podium. Like that's not going to happen. Like that's because the NFL and the NFLPA don't want players to end up going to hospitals, which pulls away doctors. Or even private physicians that pulls away doctors that will
be taking care of the people in need right now.
Exactly. That's why you seen like a Christian Kirksey. He took visits before all that happened, and teams already had their physicals. He already took a physical with the Raiders. He took a physical with Green Bay and Buffalo. He ended up signing Green Bay. They were able to announce that signing. Same thing with the tackle that they signed. It's no different. If you would have signed with the Raiders, you would have seen Christian Kirksey. Raiders announced that, and it'd be a whole different genre of media method, I guess, a whole different announcement when it comes to them.
And they got time. There's no rush at this point. This is going to be going on for a while, unfortunately, and we just got to buckle down. And I'm just happy that we actually have free agency to cover. It's been keeping me busy and keeping my mind going because I'm already starting to get a little claustrophobic up in here. But, you know, the fact that we got at least this helps. Guys, I also want to remind you guys, phone lines are open, 253-993-3651. That's 253-993-3651. Give us a call. Give us your opinion. Ask us a question. We're here to take your call.
Absolutely. I want to hear from you guys.
So, I mean, Chris Harris, the guy that I'm looking at right now then is Chris Harris. And I really hope we get him, because I mean that really, what you want from free agency is you want to feel better going into the draft than you did when you lost all these players. We lost all of our linebackers. People claim, with Worley not being signed and Joseph out there on the market, looks like we're kind of filling those gaps. We got, even if they're considered depth pieces, we're covering the bases of what we need, which frees our opportunities to move around in the draft and get players we want, not players we need.
Absolutely. And the other thing is like, we all have, even as fans, we all have people that we prefer. I mean, there's guys that I definitely prefer going to my favorite team, or even guys coming to the Raiders. Yeah, that includes draft picks. At the same time, I try to take the fan hat off and look at it from the perspective, which I look at the Raiders for the most part,
Right.
which is what's best. And I'm looking at the chat, and like my boy Sean Rolling Dubs. Sean's in the Bay Area, and Sean's been I don't want to say follower, but Sean's been since the whole relocation, been jumping on my periscopes and stuff. A good dude. And wants to know, is PJ Hall in trouble of being cut? Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I think competition's open at that position for sure. You got Justin Jelly Ellis that's supposed to come back too and get in the mix.
Yeah, you got Jelly coming. You still have Hurst, and then now with Malik Collins coming in, you got some guys there. You still need to have another one or two, but PJ needs to pick it up. And then they're asking about Xavier Rhodes. He is coming off an injury last year. He did play with a groin, but as someone that follows that division probably closer than anybody that's in the chat or anybody else, I'm gonna be real, and I've watched him get torched by Devontae Adams for about 3 years. Mm-hmm. And this is around the time where he was considered one of the top in ascending corners. I don't know how much of that is the Minnesota's defense and in that secondary just being crappy. I don't know how much of that's injury or inconsistency. I would say he's a guy that if you bring him in on a 1-year deal. It's almost like I'm going to sign you to, show and prove type deal. If he can do that, perfect. If he can't, but again, I'd rather give me Chris Harris or even Darius Slay ahead of Xavier Rhodes at this point. But I would take Rhodes over Trumaine Johnson.
And the other thing,
if I have my list,
I'm still banging the table for Worley, man. I mean, it's too early to really make that call. I mean, there's still a lot of time of free agency before they have to address that situation. But there's a guy that he was a ball hawk. I mean, he made his mistakes, but I mean, that whole defense was making mistakes, right? I me's a guy that played little safety. He could play the slot. He played outside. Worst case scenario, he's a great guy to bring back even as a depth piece. Joseph's still out there too. So there's, their names are not coming up on the board. They're a little injured. They're probably guys that'll go late, probably second week, third week of free agency, but don't rule them out to coming back to the Raiders.
Nah, I'm cool on Worley. And here's my issue with Worley. He may get you a pick or two, make one play for you, but you're going to get burnt 2 or 3 times before you get that. And to me, as someone that coached cornerbacks, there's no way I want that. I want a guy that's going to disrupt the ball when it hits the receiver's hands. I want a guy that's going to be active and going to be a nuisance to the receiver. Too many times, he's not that guy. He had a good run in Philly. The unfortunate issue in Carolina happened, and that's how the Raiders got him.
Right.
But he's also a guy that if I can bring in a Chris Harris, a Darius Slay, an Xavier Rhodes, and or a Trumaine Johnson, I'd even take a rookie over Worley. I think you got to let him go. That's just me. I'm not a big Worley guy.
I just like his versatility. Maybe not as a starter, but as a depth piece. There's next man up concept all the time, and the fact that he's able to be versatile and be in every situation is what I kind of like about the guy, and I think we get him on the cheap.
Well, you have LaMarcus Joyner, Keyshawn Nixon, Isaiah Johnson, Trumaine Mullins. So so you have there's 4 right there, and then you're going to bring in a couple more.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that Chris Harris thing goes through, but yeah,
they're in the mix. I mean, they're they're deep in the mix for him. There's other teams that want him too. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some teams that cut some corners today. They're trying to make some room.
Yep.
So, but you got to have speed on the outside nowadays. You can't have slow corners. Like that's the reality of the NFL today. You cannot have slow. Your guys got to be able to move, or if they're really long, like an Xavier Rhodes or a Kevin King or somebody, you got to get your hands on people because you can punch and jab, and that's going to help you out. You can be a 4-5 guy if you're 6'2" or 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", and you can do that. But if you're 5'11", you better be a 4'4", 4'3" guy because the receivers that are 6'1", 6'2", 6'3", they're running 4.2 Nates. Julio Jones will run right by you. It's still running 4.3. Don't get it confused. When AJ Green comes back, he's still going to run right by you. So that's why you got to have, to me, I think they're looking for physical corners that can run. I mean, obviously physical corners that can run that has size, but I think at a certain point, like there's certain benchmarks. If they're this tall, you got to run this and under. If you're this tall, you got to run this and under. Worley is this tall and he's running this and over. And I think that's another reason why they want to move on.
Yeah. I mean, I see all your points. I mean, I don't know. There's something about him that I just liked. I don't know. I really just want depth piece, special teams. I just think he felt like a Raider to me. Maybe that's the fanboy coming out in me. I try not to do that too often, but I like guys around the ball, and he just seemed to be around the ball a lot.
Fanboy, you listening to Tony Cardasto in Vegas too much?
No, man. I do a really good job of shutting my fandom out of a lot of this stuff, but it's hard sometimes. You got to keep it real every once in a while.
Absolutely.
So what else are your other thoughts? What else do you know about Nassib? How do you think that's going to fit on the other side of Khalil Farrell and Max Crosby?
Well, I don't know if he's going to start. I mean, he's getting paid, but I don't know if he's going to start. I mean, you got Farrell and Crosby.
Yeah.
So for me, he's a guy that he can get to the quarterback, but okay, I don't know this to be true. This is me just kind of throwing something out there. He fits what Rod Marinelli likes to do.
Mm-hmm.
And it wouldn't be surprising to me if the Raiders had some talks with Jadeveon Clowney.
Interesting.
And he just was way too expensive. And I could see him heading back east to the Jets or the Giants, to be honest with you, if he doesn't stay in Seattle. And Marinelli probably said, I can get the same amount of production out of Nassib than I could Clowney. Because keep in mind, Clowney, his career high in sacks is 9.5. He's never had over 10 sacks.
He gets hurt a lot.
He's more, and he's a disruptor. And let's be real, he came in last year and he was just getting into shape in week 2. He's a guy that needs to work out.
He balled out in that Niner game, but that was pretty much it right there. Then he got hurt, right?
And then he was hurt. Yeah, then he was hurt. So, and again, in today's NFL, and I've seen it, you see a lot with the really good teams. They'll be like a NASCAR type defense where you'll have, let's say, Farrell and you put somebody else on the inside. Let's say let's say Collins, but then on the outside you have Crosby and Nassib, and then let's say you do keep Kwiatkowski in there, and you still have Littlleton, and you could put, let's say they have Kenneth Murray, or they drafted Patrick Queen on the outside. Now you got guys that can pull their ears back and go to get to the quarterback, and you're still in kind of a base defense.
That's what I'm looking at right now. Just look at what we have at the moment with Max Crosby, Farrell, even Nassib, and even throw Arden Key, even though he's underproduced the last 3 years. But then you add Littlleton and Kwiatkowski. Am I saying that right? Kwiatkowski. You got him on the outside. I mean, you got to think that we're going to land one of those linebackers. At least you hope. Gosh, that's a whole different defensive front, especially when it comes to rushing the passer and passing downs.
Oh yeah. And that's the whole thing. We said it earlier, if you rush the passer, what that does is that allows your corners to cover a little bit less, which the ball is in the air, and you can go make a play on the ball and create a turnover.
And what I like too, and I think this is why Chris Harris is an important piece. When you go back and you watch that Super Bowl again, and you watch that first half, there's the one thing you get out of that is there's really no stopping Kansas City, but the Niners did a really good job of slowing them down in that first half, and they did it with their defensive front. Their back end couldn't keep up with them. So as we build this front, you look at our linebackers, they're hybrids, bro. They can cover. So I think that's a good start. You got Mullen, who's working his butt off right now, working out with Chad Johnson and everything that he could do to get better as a cornerback. You get a guy like Chris Harris and you throw a guy like Nixon, or maybe you end up, like you said, with Slay or Rhodes. I'm not going to sit here and pound the table. I mean, just like the picture behind me, we're just building right now. It's not polished whatsoever, but it's definitely an upgrade from what we were looking at last year. And if you're a Raider fan, you have to be excited for that.
Right. And that's the thing. It's a definite upgrade. And that's all you have to do with your team. I mean, at this point, you're putting the pieces together. And and when you're putting this puzzle together, you want to have your pieces kind of all line up. Now, Roland Doves wants to know, would the Raiders still take a linebacker in the first round?
I say yeah.
Hey, look, if you got, and let's say he slides, hypothetically, he slides to like 10, right? I'm calling up to pull the trigger on a trade for Isaiah Simmons.
That hands down. I mean, like, sometimes you have to make the proper moves. And I've been saying this now since last season. We got a lot of picks, dude. We got a lot of picks that played really well last season. We're having 2 more first round picks this season. We're not in 4 or 5 years. A lot of these guys are going to be hard to sign back. Every once in a while, you got to just, if you see that player that's going to be a difference maker, you could sell a little bit to go up there and get them.
Big time. And here's the thing. You're looking at these deals. 3 years for Kwiatkowski, 3 years for Littlleton. I believe Collins is going to, I don't have the terms and guarantee money his deal, but I believe it'll be between 3 and 5 years. Witten's for a year. Heath is for 2 years. Nassib is for 3 years.
3 years.
Mariota is probably going to be a 2-year deal. I'm assuming. I don't have the numbers on that. Nobody does. And that's kind of.
Well, you saw what Bridgewater got over there in Carolina. I was kind of shocked by that number. I mean, not really. He's going to be the starter over there. He's getting $21 million. I think that's a great deal that Carolina got. So you would think it'd have to be under 20, or maybe around 15, 16 mil.
It's going to be under that.
Really?
Hell yeah.
That's
he's
good.
He's a backup. That's like saying Jameis Winston's going to get it may be 2 for 20.
Then maybe 2. Then you're definitely talking a 2-year deal then for sure if you're going to go lower than that.
You can't pay him as much as your starting quarterback that's making 18 and change.
Well, with this bonus, it's close to like 20.
Yeah, but I mean, you're getting hit for 18 and change is my point.
Yeah.
So like, it may be if we're like, like Sean Tuttle says, maybe he hurt for a year. I don't know. I mean, it could be a year plus 1. I don't know. Again, I don't know.
In order for it to be a real threat, I would at least go 2 years, man. Unless he wants the freedom. If Derek Carr balls out, unless he wants the freedom to go somewhere else next year. So it could have been a 1.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the case may be, it's the best backup quarterback the Raiders have had in 15 years.
It's a good feeling to have a guy like that backing him up. And I know it might be a lot of Tennessee fans be like, oh, good luck with that. I mean, they say that to Jim Plunkett and all these other guys. Like, you're going to look at Teddy Bridgewater going on his 3rd team. He's going to have a shot to play. Cam Newton's going to have a chance to re-erect his career. Jameis Winston as well. Tom Brady get to finish out his career on another team and prove that he could do without Belichick. That's what these guys need. They need to feel inspired and have something to work for. And that's why they go to other places to kind of find that spark again.
I can tell you the Raiders beat out Green Bay for Mariota.
Wow, they were in the mix for that too, huh?
Green Bay wanted him bad. They wanted him to come in and back up Rodgers. The tie there's LaFleur. He was his offensive coordinator while in Tennessee.
That's interesting. I mean, that's kind of show you where this league's going, man. You mean if you could that's the one thing that's happening right now with all these young guys coming in and all these the movement of these other guys. There's going to be some quality backups out there in the league right now.
Absolutely, and And Fierce wants to know why the F would the Raiders trade up, because Isaiah Simmons is arguably the best player in this draft, and if he slides to pick 10, because you're going to have Burrow go 1, Washington at 2 is presumed to be Chase Young, but let's say a team wants to make sure they get the quarterback they want, they jump to 2. One of those, another quarterback. is going to be off the board. Okay, let's say this Chase Young at 2, Detroit at 3 is kind of a wild card. I think they trade back. If not, you're looking at, they just signed Jamie Collins today. They're going to need help in the coup to make sense there. They need help in the secondary, the way that division is going. There's a lot of other things in place. This is an offensive line, top heavy draft. So there's probably going to be, I said there's probably going to be 3 quarterbacks taken in the top 10 and maybe 3 to 4 offensive linemen. So right there, let's say that's 8. Chase Young, 9. Isaiah Simmons, excuse me. If he's there at 10, he's one of those once in a generation type linebackers. I like him better than Roquan Smith coming out. He's a guy that you make that move to you give up a 1. You have your first this year. It's 2 spots. You give up a 3 next year, a 1 this next year, or even a 3 this year and move up. That's the reason why you do that.
There's a lot that has to happen there, guys. But I mean, I'd answer the question directly, but like that, you have to because I've been saying, man, we have a lot of picks. You want to start thinking of your future as you're building all this stuff around. You're not going to be able to keep everybody. We might not need those. We need those 2 first-round picks. Don't get me wrong, but if you can move up and get a guy like Isaiah Simmons that you're going to want to invest more money into, it's worth it. I mean, those guys. I mean, we look at Khalil Mack fell to us at 5. I mean, who thought that Khalil Mack was going to fall that far? Nobody did. We jumped on it. It's possible, and in those times, in those situations, you got to make those moves, man.
Big time. You have to. Excuse me. I stopped the screen. I'm checking an email.
No, you're good, man. No worries. And remember, guys, the phone lines are open. 253-993-3651. That's 253-993-3651. There's multiple lines. You guys can continue to listen to the show while you're waiting to be picked up. So don't hesitate to give us a call, ask a question, and chop it up.
Man, this is crazy. There's interesting rumors going around right now. So I'm going to come back. Sorry about that.
No, you're good, man.
So I just got a source just hit me, and something I had been kind of talking about on Twitter may actually be happening. Adjust it. There we go. Keep an eye. This is not Raider related. But
okay, it's all good though. It's football, man.
It affects the AFC West.
Okay.
Keep an eye on Melvin Gordon to the Buccaneers. That's
interesting.
Melvin Gordon and the Buccaneers to go along with Brady, OJ Howard, the receiving core. Tampa Bay may have something really cooking there. Bruce Arians. So keep that in mind in the next day or so. Could happen tonight. But I want, man, if you guys are out there and you're listening, and man, give us a call, 253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. Actually, Jed Ramos just said something I was actually about to bring up. Are they really looking to trade Gabe Jackson? Yeah. Look, that's almost $10 million.
Yep.
You could let's say you cut or trade Gabe Jackson. Okay, let's say you trade Gabe Jackson to a team in need of a guard.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say let's just say I don't know, Philly. Okay, let's say you get a fourth round pick for him or something like that, right?
Yep.
You just saved almost $10 million, and let's say you want to sign Chris Harris, and essentially he's wanting, let's say 15. Let's say he wants 2 for 30.
2 for 30.
Right? Let's just say hypothetically. Yep. That's really only costing you $5 million essentially, because you just 5 and change because you got rid of somebody that you were going to get rid of regardless.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense for them, especially with the way Good played last year. And then you can go draft the young guy and develop him a little bit just in case Good doesn't, pan out or something else happens, injuries or whatever.
And they're trying to build their draft picks up. I mean, they need one more. They need to at least try to get back in that second round. And you're not going to do that just with Gabe alone, but maybe you could turn that 5th round pick with Gabe Jackson or something into a second, package it up somehow. And there's all kinds of crazy things that could happen. But, the main thing there is you're saving money. It's for a guy that you're going to get rid of anyway. So try to get a little something back and save the cash.
Big time. And that's the whole thing. If you can save some dough and bring in your guys that you want, great. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the whole thing. So that's where your capologists come in. And it is what it is. And Fernando says, let's say Gabe Jackson's replacement whiffs on a block. Derek Carr gets hit and is out forever. That could have happened last year, but Good did a great job.
Good did a real good job.
So, I mean, it's not like they have slouches. They did I'll give Reggie McKenzie, signing Hudson and then what they did last year with Mayock and Gruden with drafting Miller 2 years ago, and that's still under McKenzie's watch. And then bringing in Incognito and signing Trent Brown and yeah, I mean, you have a good offensive line, and that's how you build football teams from the inside out.
And that's why I like the Witten pick. And that's the other reason why I like the Witten pick, because he's not just a one-dimensional player. We run two tight end sets. He can block too. So we solidify that offensive line even more. And that's going to help in the running game as well. So.
Yeah. I mean, and that's why, like, I don't think they're going to draft the offensive lineman in the first round this year.
I don't see it happening. Maybe there's a sleeper in the third somewhere.
Well, look at I forget the guy's name I like in the second round, but they'd have to. You
got to get up there.
Well, or you take 19 and you move back once or twice, accumulate picks. And let's say you have a team, again, like Green Bay, that wants to move up and let's say take a Kenneth Murray, and you say you think your linebacking core is cool and you can get that 30th pick. That could be where you take that guard. I don't think that would happen, but I mean, you never know with the way things at the draft play out. Guys want to move up and down all the time. So,
and that's another good call that we haven't talked about, where we're talking about moving up. I mean, we could drop back now, and this is why it's very methodical of what they're doing and guys that they're bringing in. It opens the board up. It opens the draft board up because you're getting really high end need pieces to where you're not forcing your hand in the draft. A lot of times teams, especially if you listen to all the people that do the mock drafts and stuff, and I know you're one of those guys, when you're looking at the draft and you're setting up your own mock, first thing you're thinking about is need. If you could really fill some of those holes, that need becomes just a little bit less, and you go get that player, that difference maker, the best player available, versus being forced to get that corner that you may not want at that position right there.
The way I do mocks, and it's the way I would draft if I was an NFL GM for the most part, I'm going to take the best player available at my perceived biggest position of need.
Right.
So I'm not drafting for need specifically, because if I feel, okay, let's use the Raiders. If I'm looking at the Raiders, to me, my perceived two biggest positions of need is wide receiver and another linebacker.
I still feel the same way right now. Yep.
But up until they signed Littlleton and Kwiatkowski, I would have said a defensive interior tackle, a pass rusher, would have been like a Fletcher Cox type, would have been my big. I would have rated that just as high as linebacker, to be honest with you.
And you still got safety and corner that some people say we could address too.
I'm not a big guy with the corner situation. I think there's 4 of them there, but I also think you still need to add another, one or two. So that's why, like, I'm doing a mock tonight for Franchise Sports Media. So you guys go to franchisesportsmedia.com. I'll have a Raider mock. I'm gonna do it tonight. It's gonna be out tomorrow. And the reason why I'm doing it tonight is I want to wait for some of these signings to calm down. Because
all the Franchise Sports Media links, by the way, are in the description box. You guys want to go hit those up: Twitter, Facebook, the website, YouTube. It's all in the description box below.
The YouTube channel. So we're gonna start doing some more of this on YouTube.
Yep.
But that's the thing. I'm gonna do this mock, and I'm going with what I think my biggest position of need, best player at my biggest position of need. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go through. I forget the mock draft site that I use. Everybody uses it now. It's on Twitter. It's a Draft Network or something like that. I'm gonna
draft.net or something like that.
Yeah, it's like mockdraftnetwork.net or something like that. I'm gonna use that to base my mock. So teams are picking ahead of me, and I'm gonna look at who's on that board. when I do this. That's the reason why I'm doing it late. So I may take a linebacker, and I'm doing it to where I can't trade. So it's a straight, whatever the picks are, I can't move up in the second round, because you never know what a team would offer you to move up or move back. I do agree that I think it's more likely at pick 19 for the Raiders to move back. I could see the Raiders at 12, honestly, moving back to like 14 or 15, accumulate a couple picks, and then at 12 move back, or at 19 move back a couple more, accumulating a few more picks, to where now you have maybe a second rounder and another third rounder and another fourth rounder, or even, you never know how far
and
back.
you still get that receiver and linebacker at that point. You'll still get a good receiver, and you probably make linebacker your absolute need at that point. Like we talked about, man, there's tons of receivers in this draft.
Justin Jefferson.
I knew you were going to say it. As soon as I went there, I knew you were going to say it.
But excuse me, in my mock, there's no way in hell that at 12, I'm not going to take him at 12. Yeah. If Jerry Jeudy's there or CeeDee Lamb is there, I'm going to take one of them.
I've been hearing a lot more rumblings about Lamb.
I'm telling you, I could tell you this. I was told by a good friend of mine that works with the Arizona Cardinals that Kyler Murray is in their ear every day about drafting CeeDee Lamb. Every day. He's telling them, that's our guy. We get him. This is before they traded for Hopkins, who, by the way, CeeDee Lamb patterns his game after.
Oh, great.
With Fitzgerald in the back end of his career in that division, the Rams are kind of going through they're going to be going through a tough phase. I mean,
Gurley going through a transition stage right now for sure.
Exactly. Seattle's, they're revamping. You have an opportunity now to really kind of seize the day if you're the Cardinals. I could definitely see them taking CeeDee Lamb at 9. Jeudy probably falls down. Ruggs will be there. But Ruggs isn't your number one wide receiver to me. He's a number 2, and you don't want to have a bunch of 2s. I think Judy's a 1. CeeDee Lamb.
You want that alpha dog.
Exactly.
You got to have that one guy that does it all.
Look, you know what Jeudy is, and I don't like who? What'd you say, Knight?
Yeah, I hit my elbow, hit my mixer. I do that all the time.
Oh,
there's probably people watching know I do that. But go ahead. I forgot. I lost my thought anyway.
But I said, you know who Jeudy is to me? And I hate using comparisons, but I'm going to use one here. He is a younger, less head case Antonio Brown with his route running in his releases.
Yeah, that's something that would work.
Exactly. I mean, that's my point.
Yeah.
I don't agree with Squeeze where he talks about Alabama players Judy's not one of those guys.
No, I mean, anybody from the East Coast anyway, man, that SEC is something else over there. That's where some real football players dig. I mean, I like our Pac-10 over here, but it's all football. Even with the fans over there, it's all SEC football over there.
Well, yeah, and Judy's just different. And then Justin Jefferson, he's another guy that's just different. And there's something about the way that he balls. Those two guys are just different to me. Another name, Michael Pittman Jr. from USC is another one. He's a guy later in the draft, maybe like the 3rd or the 4th round. Cephas from Wisconsin is another one. I think it's Quentin Cephas from Wisconsin is another one. Those are guys that can wiggle and go. And that's why I like Jeudy so much. And I said this to you on Friday. I said to you on the one before it.
Mm-hmm.
Jeudy to me can run routes, and the way he sets people up, you see his hits open, like he's going to run this corner, opens his hips, gets the receiver to the corner to flip him, and then flips him back, is running that post, and it's like, oh, his release, it's just different.
Yep.
Period. He's just different to me. I don't know. I if he's there at 12, if Isaiah Simmons isn't there, which I don't think he will be.
Nah, I don't think so either. Wishful thinking, but it'd be nice.
Judy's probably going to be my guy. I'm just being 100% real with everybody. He'd be the guy I take. I would, unless I get blown away with an offer, and it had to be with somebody picking a couple spots behind me that want to jump the 49ers for somebody,
Yep.
and they got to blow me away, I'm staying
I
right there.
think I think that's the play, man. I mean, if you think, I mean, you know, especially if it's Judy and they have eyes on even Ruggs or Jefferson, or if you could have somebody jump in front of you, man, think about that. You can land a second round pick at that point. That's a possible another receiver right there, man. That, you know, back in the second round. I mean, that's how deep this is. So, I mean, they're going to want to build that receiving core. You still come out of the first round with a linebacker, wide receiver, and an opportunity to get that other piece in the second round, and still holding on to your 3/3. So, and Mayock nailed it last year. So, I mean, I'm all for dropping back a few spaces and grabbing even another third round pick would give us the ammunition to go in the second and get somebody.
Well, you could even, there's a lot you could do.
Yeah,
I mean, look, let's be real. Al Davis looked for size, speed. I mean, I hate to bring
that was good and bad. That was good and bad. I know.
I hate to bring up Darius Haywood Bay. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to bring him up, but at the same time, he actually is still playing in Crabtree's out the league.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's true, but I mean, I still liked Crabtree as a baller. He did, you know, he could catch the ball. Had a little bit of mental issues, but you know.
Well, and then look at what's my dude? What's the other one that the safety is? It Mike Miller? No,
Mike Williams.
No, the safety he drafted. He played with Pittsburgh for a number of years.
Mike Mitchell.
Mike Mitchell, another one. People scoffed at that pick, laughed, and the guy ended up being a damn good safety for a number of years on some really good Steeler teams. So Al knew what he was doing. Sometimes he just the patience level just wasn't there. So
towards the end, he was a bit impatient, man. He was trying to do everything he could to win.
But at the end of the day, you know, I look at what the Raiders have done, and this we talked about this on Friday. It tells you a little bit what they're thinking going into the draft. And again, I think you're going to see a receiver taken, unless, and I still
who's out there? You're gonna drop some knowledge, because who's out there right now that can come in and take
Robbie Anderson from the Jets.
You think that Robbie Anderson would be enough to eliminate that wide receiver in the first round?
At pick 12, not pick 19, but at pick 12.
Yeah.
At 12, that gives you the best player available or trade back opportunity at 12.
Well, I mean, I agree with that statement. I mean, you give me Robbie Anderson, I'm cool with it as long as we get one of those guys, either 12 or 19. I still want to see a receiver in the first round. I think it's a need at this point. I like Williams. I like Renfro. I even like Dawson and Rico Gafford, man. But, you know, I don't think Robbie Gafford guy. You know what, dude? He's a good third piece to bring in. You know, you got Renfro in there that he's a slot guy. He's going to be a third down over the middle guy. But Gafford has shown, man, if you watch his preseason tape, and he even did it in his first game as a starter, he gets deep. He can get over the top. So, I mean, he's not some guy you're going to put in there every down, but he's got some skill.
He does.
Speed kills.
There are very few wide receivers nowadays that come out that are undrafted that end up being like number one wide receivers.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying Robbie Anderson's a number one. What I'm saying is him and Williams on the outside, and you draft your number one at 19 to put in the slot to go along with Renfro and Waller and Witten. Now you have something.
Yeah, but I'm okay with that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying Robbie Anderson's a number one because
that wouldn't satisfy. That wouldn't. Nah, I'd still be hungry for a wide receiver. But not at 12. I agree with you. Not at 12. I'd go after the best linebacker at that point. You'd have your pick, hopefully, with Murray or Quinn at 12.
Right. And I'll say, well, Murray's going to be, I think Murray will be there at 19.
He's the one I really like, dude. And you know, again, I like the hybrid that he is, dude. I like the fact that he played safety. I like that he played the outside and the inside. I like his versatility, but I'm also a character dude, and you know, when I found out that he has 3 step brothers that are special needs at that, and that hits home with me with my special need daughter here, dude. So I mean, I just love the guy. I'd love for him to be a Raider, man.
That's one of those. Yeah. He's one of those that his story gets you bought in on him 100%.
Yeah.
I just, you know, let's say they sign Robbie Anderson and they draft Jerry Jeudy to go along with Tyrell Williams, to go along with Darren Waller,
Witten and
Jason
Waller.
Don't forget the running game, Josh Jacobs.
And Rashard's a threat out of the back, too.
The Raiders' offense could be lethal.
We were talking about Arizona a few minutes ago, and we were talking about if they went out and got CeeDee Lamb along with Hopkins and Fitzgerald and Kyler Murray. I mean, you look at that and you're like, start scratching your head. But if you put us out that scenario, because Rashard's a guy who's a threat out of the backfield, Jacobs, you already know that he's a beast. And then you got that wide receiver core with that tight end core. I mean, come on, man. This offensive line already being solid. There'll be no excuses, right? Anybody that was either on the fence or for DC at that point, you know that it's all in this year.
It should be that way regardless.
Absolutely. But I mean, just that is, there's no more, well, we need more weapons. That's a lot of weapons, man.
Like, so you bring up DC, and I want to bring this situation up again. Like with Mariota, like there's some people, and I know there's some trolls that you know, that follow me on Twitter and there are certain people that were kind of, they say things to piss me off because
I remember some of your trolls. I know where they're from.
Sometimes I'll take the bait.
Yeah.
And they're like anonymous people, whatever. But, with DC, people were saying like, oh, Mariota needs to start over Derek Carr. DC needs to, you know, they need to trade him or cut him, whatever. Here's the thing. TQ brought up a good point that when I asked him on Friday on the show, what did he think of DC when he said that he's taking every snap, throwing the first pass at Allegiant Stadium?
Yeah.
He goes, he seemed like he was irritated and fed up with the questions. Like he knows something that, and then today, Ian Rappaport said something. It was right about 4 o'clock hour on NFL Network. He said, you know, they're talking about Tom Brady, and he said, well, privately, everybody in the NFL knew what the Raiders were saying, which is Derek Carr's their quarterback, and they know that's the case.
Yeah.
So it's well known. It's media people. You know, I wrote a story about Brady. Will the Raiders be the new Brady bunch? I said, as you talked about on the show, you know, that
article is the link in the description to the website. By the way, it's still down there if you guys want to check out that article.
Appreciate that. And I said quite simply that they would monitor the situation, but I think Derek Carr is going to be the guy, and that's based off what they were telling me. Nothing's changed. The Raiders believe in Derek Carr as their starting quarterback. The Raiders believe, John Gruden believes Derek Carr gives him his best chance to win right now and in the future.
I've been saying that at least for this year. I've been a business move. I've been saying that since day one. Whether you like him, hate him, it don't matter. I mean, from an offensive standpoint, third year in the system, it just makes sense, guys. It just, you know, you give Mariota this whole offseason, you give him mini camp, and you even give him half the year. If Carr is not producing like people say he's not going to produce, he's going to fall off, Mariota would be ready by week 8. So, well, yeah, I mean, that's the insurance policy, man. I mean,
exactly. So for me, and it was true, DC at that time when we were at the name changing ceremony, it was apparent that he was kind of like, you know, honestly pissed off about it. And at the end of the day, he's kind of I think people want to see him more fiery. Look, you're not going to get a DC that's going to MF get in Gruden's face like, you need to call the MF. You're not going to get that with him. Nope. That's not him. But you're going to snap back when it's appropriate. He's going to stand his ground. But I'm going to tell you what, every freaking teammate in that locker room respects the hell out of him. Because what has he done for the last 6-7 years? Taking every bullet.
He's taking every bullet. He's consistent with his personality, his attitude. You know what you're getting from the guy. And if you watch film, okay, he's not doing it every play, but he gets pissed, dude. He gets angry. If you watch the play where he broke his leg, he actually drops an F-bomb. So if everybody wants to call him the Mr. Goody two-shoe Christians, I mean, read his lips. He knew it in the moment. So he's an in the moment kind of guy. He's not going to get in your face. He's going to work with you. But trust me, there will be a little bit more edge to him this year, but I don't think he'll break character. Derek Carr is who he is, and it's what this team needs moving forward as a solid guy. And you get the same with Mariota, so that's the other reason why I like the Mariota signing. But I mean, trust me, guys, you're gonna see how fluent this offense is going to be because they're going to address the last need that we really have. Well, there's actually two if you want to talk about another beefy running back to go behind Jack Jacobs, but they're going to address the wide receiver position, and this is going to be a completely different offense, man.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you, brother Jay Nelson. Appreciate the love, man, for what you said. I appreciate that. But yeah, I don't think that at the end of the day, Carr. This is it for Carr. Honestly, bottom line, this is it for Carr. Like if he doesn't do it this year, you don't see that jump, they're gonna have to make a tough decision. Like that's the reality of it.
Yep.
And the hope is if Mariota can pick up on the offense, because it's not an easy offense to learn quickly.
Oh.
If Carr falters next year, they bring Mariota back, draft a rookie early, let him learn for a year or so. Hopefully Mariota does well and gives him a tough situation like the Titans did with Ryan Tannehill versus Mariota. And I agree with Sean Tuttle in this regard. I think Gruden does need to loosen the leash on Carr. I think it's
on the whole offense. We've been saying that too. Yeah, the whole offense, especially in the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, and in the red zone. Mm-hmm. I have a big time belief in Carr. I may be foolish, but I'm also not I'm also not a diehard Raider fan. I know some of you may or may not know that.
He bleeds silver and black. He just doesn't know it yet, guys. He's learning.
No, I know. Like I said, if God came down and was like, "It's your family," or the Green Bay Packers, like I'm not gonna be a Packer fan anymore. I won't be a cheesehead. I'll be a Raider fan. I've always said that. So I've always had a big affinity for the Raiders. But at the same time, like I think about them very logically, and I think about them from the perspective of how would I run it from a GM perspective, from a head coach perspective, and I'm just saying, like you have to look at things without the goggles on, and you got to say, look. 3 years, same offense. This is the year that it's make or break. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You know what? He gets a clean slate somewhere. You get a bunch of money off your cap for next year. You can go maybe go get somebody, draft somebody. You can keep Mariota, move on from there. Look at. Let's say the Raiders trade back in at pick 19. Throw something out there. Scenario. Trade back pick 19. Let's say they pick up another third. And they take 2/3 and they move up into the second round. And they draft Jalen Hurts. Now your quarterback room is Carr, Mariota, and Hurts. That's a pretty good quarterback room.
And I still say that's a possibility if they can get back in the second round. I'm not ruling that out whatsoever.
John Q brings up a good point. He says, remember all the hype about Chris Warren III? Lesson,
where's he at?
Stay hungry. Don't get hungry. Don't get too hungry.
Well, I mean, when it comes to all the rumors about Carr, we've been dealing with this for 2 years, right? And this as well, being in the media market, clickbait. That's all it is. People need views, people need clicks, and when they saw Tom Brady at the UFC fight, man, they were all in on that. And the Raiders are going to play it too, because if you're in the news, then they want to be noticed, man. They want to be talked about. That's good for business. And I'm sure Carr had the heads up of what was going on. I'm sure of it. And I'm sure he was even told, we're bringing somebody in to compete with you. I'm sure that they had the respect enough to tell him that. But I think he knew this whole time it was his job to lose.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think but that's where it stands. It's his job to lose.
Mm-hmm.
The same way, if you look at PJ Hall and whoever else was at defensive tackle. I mean, right. Jelly Ellis got hurt, but he lost the job. Malik Collins is coming in. You look at the linebackers. They played or got suspended themselves out of a job. You got Kwiatkowski and Littlleton coming in. Yep. You look at Carl Joseph, inconsistency and inability to stay on the field cost him his job. Jeff Heath is coming in. So that's the reality of the NFL. That's where it is. You have to do those things in order to understand, to make your team better, to understand what your team really is.
all 32 teams want to put themselves in a situation where they have multiple players pushing each other constantly. That's the idea. It's not the easiest thing to do, but if you look, especially in the middle of that defensive line, we've developed that. If you look at our tight end position, we're developing that. Wide receiver core, again, we need work. I mean, we got some great pieces in the linebacker, but we need a lot more linebacker people. Safeties, they're going to start pushing each other because I think if you get Chris Harris, that's definitely going to put Joyner in the back. So there's some great competition building back there, and that's what's going to make a great team.
Absolutely. Ideally. But let's hear what you guys think about the Raiders and their offseason.
Yes.
253-993-3651, 253-993-3651. That's the number to call to get at us. There's some people in here that don't like Jalen Hurts. Sean says Hurts will be a mistake. He's too slow at reading defenses. John Q says Hurts comes across so arrogant, but he thinks it's good to have confidence. Half the battle is believing in yourself. It's like he knows something we don't. Look, here's my issue with Hurts. I'm going to be real. When it came to Hurts, he lost his starting job to Tua Tagovailoa because he couldn't pass the ball in Alabama with all those weapons around. But then he goes to Oklahoma with even more weapons. And what does he do? Throws the ball around, and then he goes to the Senior Bowl, throws the ball around, and then he goes to the Combine, competes his ass off, and throws the ball around. I'm not saying you draft him to come in and start this year. I'm not saying you draft him for him to come and start this year or next year. I'm saying you draft him for 2 years from now.
He's a project.
Exactly.
He's a project and a half, and you got to remember who the coach is there, right? It's the quarterback whisperer. And the one thing that he wants out of a quarterback more than anything is a mind. And he's proven that he has the quarterback mind. And in Gruden's offense, he doesn't ask him to throw the ball deep enough. That's one of our complaints, right? So in a West Coast offense, in 2 years, not right out the gate, 2 or 3 years, he might emerge as something special. Anybody think that Dak Prescott was going to be what he is? Did anybody have Mahomes pegged for who he was?
Me.
He wasn't coming in. Well,
I did.
Okay.
I did.
Okay. I remember you talking about him, but at the same time, I mean, come on. Like, do you think any of these people would have drafted him earlier if they known he would have been a rookie of the year or this league MVP and then an MVP in the Super Bowl? Shoot, he would have went first overall, right? So, I mean, you got to give these guys time.
Here's the thing. One, when it comes to Mahomes, I said him and Watson were the two best quarterbacks in that draft. I have proof. I have witnesses. One, okay, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, all that. I said this dude was. I didn't say that. I said this dude's got a potential to win an MVP and be a very good quarterback and lead his team very deep in the playoffs. I did say that. Okay. I real talk. I did say that on shows that I did on Periscopes. So yeah. 2, this is where I disagree with Gruden. Every young quarterback that he's tried to develop, they haven't developed.
Right.
Chris Sims was a guy, he's always had veteran guys come in.
I think he was a challenge too.
Look at when he had Tui Asasopo back there. When he had Tui back there, that was his guy. And what did Tui do?
He got traded away. Yeah, but Tui didn't turn out to be nothing either. I mean, he was all right. He was flashy. He was all right. Nothing to write home about. But I think that Gruden wants the challenge there too. I think he really wants to develop a guy. But he also is smart enough to knows what he's got. But I mean, and the other reason why you would do Jalen Hurts as a project is because he's a guy that you could bring in. He's not just sitting there. You could develop plays and put him in. He could be reading defenses back there as he's getting ready to throw the ball from some trick play or some option play. And I mean, a lot like what's his name over there is New Orleans.
Taysom Hill.
There you go. His name slipped my mind. Taysom Hill, just like that. I mean, it's not you'll have an extra weapon. I know that Jalen Hurts says I'm a quarterback, and that's the way you bring him in and get him to play quarterback and learn while being on the field. I think it would be a smart pickup. It'd be a weapon on offense.
But see, the thing is, I don't question his acumen. He's a coach's son. He's one of the brightest quarterbacks in this draft. There's this certain limitations to his game, which is fine. There's limitations to Dak Prescott. There's limitations to Tom Brady. That's why he was drafted with 198th or whatever.
Oh my gosh, right?
You know what I mean? There's always limitations Even Joe Burrow has limitations. He's going to be the top pick quarterback in the draft. Justin Herbert has limitations. Nobody's coming in polished and ready to go. Peyton Manning, people question his arm strength. People are questioning Tua Tagovailoa's arm strength. I am.
Me as well.
And his injury history. Those are the two things with him I question. Can Tua stay healthy? And does he have the arm strength to make some of these deep throws?
Right.
I will say I think Hurts has better arm strength than Tua. And therefore, he throws a really good deep ball. My question with him is that short to intermediate stuff, which is very prevalent in the West Coast offense. Yep. So those are the things about, those types of things. And it just, can you digress and just take in that offense that right away from Gruden? And that's why it takes a couple of years, or at least a year, to understand it. That's why I'm saying you sit him for a year or two, if he's the guy. If he's the guy. If he's not, then that's fine.
And we're talking hypothetically here, guys. So anybody that comes in here late or tries to hear us have this conversation about Jalen Hurts and the Raiders, look, man, I think by bringing in Mariota, you take that, once again, you're taking that pressure off the draft. And there's plenty of other quarterbacks that will be coming out in a year or two. With Mariota being back there now and in the house, that gives you a lot more control of the board. You only do Jalen Hurts if you feel like that is the guy that you want to develop. And we don't even know if that's the case. Right now, it's going to be wide receiver. It's going to be linebacker, in my opinion, and we don't even have a second-round pick. And by the time we get to the third, Jalen's not going to be there. So it's just hypothetical evaluation at this point.
Banter, hypothetical banter.
We're just banter.
Yeah,
word. Just hypothetically speaking about, could he fit in this system?
I prefer I prefer Nick Eason. He's another one. If you're a third round guy, Nick Eason from Washington.
A lot of people say Jordan Love too.
He's going top 15.
He's moved up the board, right? Where's Herbert sitting at? You think Herbert's still a first round guy?
Top 5.
It's crazy.
Like I think you're gonna see
3 to 4 quarterbacks going.
I think 4 in the top 15. I think you'll see Burrow 1, and then next off the board will be Tua. Let's say at 3 or 5. And then you'll see Herbert. And then you'll see Love going in the top 15 somewhere. Somebody will trade up
That's
for him.
4. That's 4 quarterbacks.
I think, the Chargers are going to take a quarterback. Let's not fool ourselves.
Well, it depends. Yeah. I mean, think they got Tyrod Taylor. If they go out and get Newton.
Tyrod Taylor, really, Buffalo.
I'm just saying.
Come on, it's Tyrod Taylor. I mean, he'll have.
They're talking Newton. I mean, I know that obviously they don't want Tyrod Taylor to be the guy. I mean, if you're Tyrod, you talk about Derek Carr all offseason. Tyrod's told, hey, we like you, Tyrod. Now you're looking at Cam Newton, and in the rumors about the draft too. He's probably like, I'm out of here.
Look, one of my closest friends in life is a Buffalo Bills fan. He called him Ty God. He brought up a good point. Tyrod Taylor is good for a short stretch, but that's it.
Yeah, he's athletic.
He's Matt Flynn. This is a different version. He has different.
Flynn, wow.
Yeah, he's got different attributes, but he's Matt Flynn. You got to put, look, I wouldn't be shocked if Washington takes a quarterback in the first round at pick 2.
You think Washington's in the mix too? Okay.
They're not high on Dwayne Haskins, the new staff. I really think this is that Haskins could be traded. And look, the Raiders had interest in him last year. Full disclosure, the Raiders had some interest and did their homework on Dwayne Haskins. But you got, it could go those top 2. Detroit could be in the mix because Stafford's getting older and coming off a back. Then you have Miami at 5. There's quarterbacks are going to fly off quick, and then you need guys to block for them. New England has the first round pick, but they got a plethora of third round picks because they got I think they have at least 3. So they could package a 1, a couple threes and a 2 and move up and get a guy they really like if they want one.
They're in a situation. I mean, that's going to be so interesting to see how that plays out.
They like their backup, the kid from Auburn, Stidham, that they took.
Well, let's remember. I mean, in that Patriot system, and this is why I've always said, I mean, it's going to be interesting to see Belichick. I'm not worried about Belichick. Actually, you got Garoppolo and who's the other guy? I keep always forget his name. Matt Castle. Both those guys performed at a very high level in that offense when Brady was out. So I think you'd be a little bit shocked at what they're able to do. I mean, they're not going to be Brady, mind you, but I'm more interested to see what Brady's going to do in Tampa with all these weapons. Brady has an opportunity here.
I get tired. I don't know how you feel about it. Of people talking about, oh, well, this dude's a system quarterback. Like, there's only a handful of quarterbacks in the history of the NFL that made their receivers better. True. That weren't good quarterbacks until they had weapons around them.
True.
Honestly, let's go through some, right? So John Elway. Who was one? John Elway's, other than Rod Smith, which he got on the back end of his career?
Shannon Sharp.
He's a tight end. Okay, so you got Shannon Sharp and Rod Smith. Other than that, I mean, Ed McCaffrey.
Different guys.
Was Mark Ingram? No, Ingram wasn't there. I'm trying to think of the smaller receivers he had when they lost, the Super Bowls, when they lost to Washington. Like, they didn't have great receivers. Then look at Marino. He had Duper and Clayton, but then what receiver did Marino have? He stood
a bunch of different guys.
Both of those teams, both those quarterbacks put up ungodly numbers.
Numbers. Yep.
Look at Brett Favre. He had Sterling Sharp, but then after that, there's not a Hall of Fame receiver on that team.
These are your old school pure passers, by the way.
Yeah. Hell, look, I'll use Michael Vick. What receivers did he have?
Well, I mean, I have a different opinion and take on running quarterbacks, but yeah, I mean, he got a lot better in Philly. I thought he was really good in Philly.
He got better when he got a coach that could coach quarterbacks, because Dan Reeves could not coach quarterbacks. Let's be real. Jim Mora Jr. couldn't coach quarterbacks. They didn't bring guys in that could.
Yeah.
So, like, whether like, even nowadays, Mahomes is a system quarterback. You give him not Cleveland. You give him Miami's weapons. He's not going to put up those same numbers.
Yeah.
But give Derek Carr Kansas City's weapons. He's going to put up big time numbers. You see what I'm saying?
Some quarterbacks need the pieces. Some others don't. Brady didn't need all the pieces. Elway didn't need all the pieces. Obviously, Marino to perform. But I mean, I've always said, and we talked about this Friday, Carr's always needed a running game. He had that last year. I think that's why his numbers were as solid as they were. But he finally had the running back, but the wide receiving core, not only were they missing a piece or two, but they were kind of beat up too. So the ones that he did have. So again, system quarterback, right weapons. I think the main thing that I like to tell people is this is a team sport, guys. Sometimes, I mean, I know that the quarterback gets all the blame and all the glory, but he still needs a team around him. Most of them do anyway.
And I guess that's my point. Like, at this point, I look at it like Joe Montana couldn't play in Dan Marino's system. He had to be in the right system that fit his skill set.
Right.
Marino, I think, would have a hard time fitting in a West Coast offense. He had a hard time fitting in Jimmy Johnson's system.
Man, Marino threw the prettiest deep ball I've ever seen. I like Marino's deep ball.
Marino, I'm not gonna lie, and this is coming from, I mean, that's my generation. Marino to me is I'd put him in the top 2 quarterbacks of all time. Like, I'm not to take away rings, okay?
Right, yeah.
Take away Brady's rings. Dude, Marino threw the best ball I've ever seen. Elway had probably the best arm. Him or Favre had the best arm strength.
Warren Moon's another one of those guys too.
Who?
Warren Moon.
Yeah. Moon's deep ball was pretty. Same with Randall Cunningham.
Yeah, he was the first hybrid quarterback. That guy even punted.
Yeah, he has like a 70-yard punt.
Mm-hmm.
I'll never forget that. But the point is, like, you have to have the right system with the right quarterback.
Right.
And I guess to me, that's the thing. Rich Gannon wasn't a great quarterback in Kansas City. In fact, he was a journeyman with Kansas City and Minnesota. He comes to the Raiders, gets in the right system, and he's an MVP. Goes to a Super Bowl.
Yep.
So I mean, you have to have the right system for your quarterback. So for me, I guess that's where I'm, a little bit different. I think, I don't mind a system quarterback because they're all system quarterbacks. Just the system fit them. There are some guys that are just slap dicks. Let's be real. You got slappies out there.
Yep.
Jamarcus Russell.
Oh, wow. We got to go there. Damn.
Yeah. Keely Smith.
Ryan Leaf.
Right.
Ryan Leaf.
Yeah. But credit Ryan. He admits he's a slappy and he got himself together and he does really good.
Jay Marinovich.
Okay, Marinovich is a different story, man. When you're that,
he had mental issues. I get it, but it was still, it is what it is. It is what it is. Yep.
Right. So I guess for me, like, you got slappies out there that some guys just aren't guys, and then you got some real dudes that can go out there and play. Like I'm gonna tell you my biggest beef with Dwayne Haskins, because let's just say the Raiders offer a 4th round pick and bring him over. Okay, let's just say my biggest issue with Dwayne Haskins, I got 2 of them. Last year before the Monday night game, teams are going through warmups. He's over there dancing and talking with players. He's like, all that. But during warmups, but the other quarterbacks, I think Case Keenum or whoever was a starter last year, was working. Hey, this is what we're going to do right here. Talking to receivers, being a professional. And then after his first start and after he gets his first win, he misses shaking hands because he's taking selfies with fans.
And I know some fans may like that. I get it, but there's a professionalism that needs to be held first.
It's immaturity. And he had that immaturity at Ohio State. Simba believe me, Simba's a phenomenal quarterback. The dude's got a howitzer for an arm. He's the type of guy that would fit a lot of good systems. He plays tough. I mean, shit, I watched him play Green Bay. And the dude had like 2 sprained ankles, came like hobbling off the field, still threw for over 3 bills. Like the dude can flat out play, and he's got some toughness to him, but he's got to mature. And I think that's the right tutelage and with the right people around him. I don't think Ron Rivera wants to take the time to give this kid the keys. I think he sees a maturity with Tua. He sees a maturity with Herbert. I even bringing Cam in, he knows what he's getting with Cam. So I think that's why I think Washington is going to be in the mix for a quarterback more than what's even being talked about. But even with that, even in the Raiders case, I don't see a Jordan Love or a Herbert at 12. If Love should be there, Herbert shouldn't be. I don't see them taking him at that pick, even with the moves they made the last 2 years.
They don't do it. They don't do it. There's no way. Like I said, a wide receiver, obviously, when you look at the draft, especially in that position, you're going to have at least 2 of the top 3. You're going to pull that trigger. If you even go a step further with linebacker, with Mariota and Carr, there's no need to pull the trigger that early for a quarterback. That's over investing. No,
that's real. So, okay, on Twitter. Now, remember when they had the Andrew Luck Twitter account? It was like Major Andrew Luck or Captain Andrew Luck. And
I remember there was a rumor out there about that, right?
Civil War. It's like a Civil War, things written in Civil War style, like how they would talk. They have one now for Phillip Rivers. It's called Major Phillip Rivers. I'm going to read you this. Dearest children, bundle your knapsacks, as I have accepted command of troops and territory to the east. Though rusted, the Colt Army shows faith in my sidearm. We must journey to our new homestead, bearing great caution for the larger disease that plagues the masses. Father. Oh, wow. Gerald McCoy to the Cowboys. Keep that. I just got
McCoy to the Cowboys. That's a good one.
That would have been, I forgot he was available. That would have been a guy.
I didn't even know he was available, to let you know where I was at.
Yeah, that would have been a guy that I would have really liked in silver and black, to be honest with you. That just hit my just hit me. It just came through literally. McCoy to the Cowboys. Interesting. But
That's a good one.
yeah. They signed
But,
Peterson at $2 million.
who?
Sean, who are you talking about? Who signed Peterson at $2 million? Which Peterson?
Adrian Peterson.
Got
That's the only name that comes to my head when I hear Peterson.
who?
Adrian Peterson.
My Adrian or Doug. Those are the two that got me. That get me Adrian or Doug Peterson. So nobody wants to call in. 253.
I know, man. Everybody's shy, dude. Don't be shy.
It's fun when everybody call. I like.
I love it.
I'll any questions on just about any Raider related questions on the table. Oh, that reminded me too. Earlier in the show, I seen in the comments that they were asking about if it's turf or grass at Allegiant Stadium.
It's
the
grass,
Raiders.
right?
The Raiders are using grass, but UNLV will be using turf.
Correct.
So the grass or one of them will be rolled out, and then that would be the way to go.
Yeah, because I think someone hit me up. I think on the last show last night, and they were talking about the speed and playing on the turf. Like these guys are going to be flying around, and I didn't get a chance to respond to it. But I was like, I knew it wasn't turf. We're going to have grass.
Yeah, it is a dome, obviously, but it's going to be a fast surface. The Raiders want to play fast.
Yeah.
That's why they're building this team. If you look at this team, a lot of speed. Lot of speed. So the quarterback, a first round tender.
He's not talking Peterson. He's talking Peterman. Nathan Peterman got the first round tender.
Okay.
So they're saying someone signed Peterman?
No, the Raiders did give him a whatever he was drafted at. That's the tenure they're giving him.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. Murray or Queen? Okay,
I like
that's
Murray.
A great question.
I'm selfish, but I like his versatility. I mean, I take the special needs aside, and trust me, that's my heart right there. But I said the fact that he was a safety. The fact that he played outside backer, inside backer, speed, hand. Well, we haven't seen his hands, but he has them. I like Murray.
Look, Murray's linebacker 2 on the board for me. I think his speed and his ability, I could play him at the wheel. I could play him at the mic. I can kind of line him up in various places to make plays. I have 2 question marks with him. I've said this the last couple of times we talked. One is the knock on him from scouts of what they told me is his ability not to decipher plays, but the reaction time is fast, but sometimes he gets in his own way in his head. Right. So he can see it, but doesn't trust his eyes enough. That's the best way I could put it. The other knock on him is really about his college. There hasn't been too many linebackers that came out of Oklahoma that have been good in the NFL. Really good.
But he didn't go in there as a linebacker. That's what's interesting to me.
But he gets drafted as one, though. So,
True.
Okay, Oklahoma's looking at – I have a son that plays football in Beggs, Oklahoma, for Beggs High School. The safety there – Oklahoma offered, and they told him he's already 6'2", 210. They go, you need to add 20 pounds. You're moving to linebacker for us when you get here. So, I mean, they look at guys that play safety in high school and move them down to linebacker because they want to have that speed. Murray did the same thing. I just Gerald McCoy, and then there's what other defensive front 7 guys have made an impact in the NFL in the last decade or so.
And I see that, but I just think that he was put in a position to be the guy there, became the guy, right? Because they moved him to outside backer, then someone got hurt, they slid him inside. But I just think in the NFL, I just think, and they're not going to ask him to play the middle. I think, like you said, I think he's going to be on the outside to start, and I think that's going to free him up to make more plays. Hopefully that'll help his overthinking problem.
Yeah, I think that but again, if those are my 2 knocks, you can get your linebacker coach trust your eyes. I'd rather you play flat, play fast, than overthink and play slow. I'd rather give me a guy that plays fast and makes mistakes versus a guy that plays slow and makes mistakes. I want the fast guy because he'll make me some plays too. I'm gonna give you guys a name that I'm gonna mock to the Raiders in my mock draft, and he's a hybrid. He's a hybrid linebacker, safety, and they've lined him up at cornerback too.
I think I might know who. Maybe
guess. Take a guess. Take a guess.
I can't remember his last name. It's a weird last name. Starts with a V.
No.
All right, I'm off.
Javen White from UNLV. 6'2", 215 pounds, but he is a playmaker.
I've heard you talk about him in your Periscopes.
Javen is a dude, and from Oakland, he's a guy. He should have been invited to the combine. He went and played in some bowl and killed it. But Javen White's a guy that, quite honestly, he's a dude, and he'll make some. And Keyshawn Nixon was my guy last year. He ended up going to the Raiders. Javen White's my guy this year. Yes, I'm biased. I've known Javen for 4 years, covered him. He became a friend over that time. Take all that aside, Javen is a freaking stud. Google the name, watch the highlights. You're going to see a guy that just makes plays. And I know the Raiders were at a bunch of his games last year. There's a ton of NFL scouts there watching him. He's a dude. And I don't say that.
Some you get later, maybe even undrafted. Will he get drafted?
He'll be late or he'll be undrafted.
I think the Raiders grab him. That'd be great.
I want him to get drafted in the 7th round. That's just me.
Middle or outside?
Outside, because he can play safety as well. And even at
that guy, yep.
He played at the NFL PA game or something. They played him at corner as well.
I'm gonna tell you guys something, man. That's where this league is going, and there's a few teams that are doing it right now. But I'm telling you, the linebacker position is gonna change as we know it. It's the only way that you're gonna be able to combat these hybrid offenses that have developed over the years with these tight ends and these running backs and these option plays. You need more speed than size at your linebacker position right now. You need that alpha dog in the middle. Don't get me wrong. You need someone that's big enough to fill up the gaps. But man, I mean, you're going to definitely, your outside backers are going to be more like safeties. You saw it all last year and the year before. A bunch of nickel formation. That's your standard 4-3 anymore. You're in the nickel.
Exactly. They run nickel, dime, and whatever else you want to call it 70% of the time in the NFL.
Go base 4-3. That's the odd one now.
Yeah.
Now you're predicting all run or something.
Exactly. Steven Tucker says, how many great USC linebackers bust in the NFL? Well, when you have the history of USC linebackers from Junior Seau to Willie McGinnis, and so on and so forth, there's a history there. Oklahoma, you can't name one. Brian Bosworth is the first name that comes to mind. Yeah. Now, I'm not saying Murray's that guy, and I agree that Murray is going to be I think he's going to be a very good pro. I think he's going to be a pleasure to watch, and if he's in silver and black, being able to cover them all next year, it's going to be in the next 5 years. It's going to be a blast because I love watching great defenses and great defensive players. At the same time, I'm not going to sit here and say he's that guy. If you give me my pick right now, if I have my druthers and the only defensive the Brown and Chase Young are taken off the board, the next guy, I mean, look, Chase Young is going to go before Isaiah Simmons, in part because he's a pass rusher.
Yep.
Isaiah Simmons is the best defensive player in this draft to me. I said last week that I think Simmons is going to be the best player in this draft overall, have the best career. That's just my opinion. I take him over anybody, but he's not going to be there. Murray at 12 or 19, I don't have a problem with it. But there's deficiencies in his game. That's all I'm saying. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. That's me doing my job.
But again, no, I agree with you. You got to go through the whole gambit there. But what I'm saying is, he's coming out listed as a middle linebacker. that's what he made his name for last year, in the middle linebacker, right? But he's not going to be our Mike. If we get him, he won't be our Mike. He'll be playing more Will. So I think that kind of changes things for me when I look at what he did last year, and especially when you as a middle linebacker, they put a lot on his plate to be the Mike. You gotta line people up. Maybe that's what's making him overthink things. But you put him in a position to make plays, get him back to just use his speed and his athleticism. I think that's the difference for me.
I don't disagree with that. But I just, for me, I have to look at the big picture. Overall, that's one of the reasons I do what I do. I look at the big picture, and for me to have a guy like Murray who's got all the tools in the world, but when a scout and multiple scouts and talent evaluators tell me the same thing, that it's not that he's a little slow diagnosing things, it's just that he doesn't trust his eyes. That makes me stop and go back and watch some more film.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's just how I think and how it works.
So we went all in on Murray. What's your take on Quinn?
I like Quinn. I like Quinn. I gotta watch a little more film on him. I like the fact that you could get him probably a little bit later. And a guy that can learn a little bit. He can learn from Littlleton, nice depth. And Miami puts out good linebackers. He's a guy that does, again, speed. He can give you some versatility. I think you could play him as Sam a little bit, to be honest with you. Besides Mike, that's just me. But I think Mike and Sam in a lot of cases are interchangeable.
Yeah.
But again, I prefer to run a 3-4 front. That's just me. I like wide 9 defensive line or linebackers, defensive ends that can rush the quarterback and take things away. But again, he wouldn't be a guy go first round. I mean, that's just me. I mean, it's Murray, Queen. If I'm gonna take a guy, I forget the guy's name, and I should know it. He's a LSU's other middle linebacker. He got busted. He had to take a personal leave of absence, but he came back. Queen took his job, actually. He's the guy that I think later in the draft, 3rd, 4th round, he's a guy that could be a potential sleeper because he's a dude. There is a couple there's the off-field question because again, it's some time this year. But Coach,
I think I lost Joe. I'm sure he'll jump back on. I'll make sure I keep an eye out for him down below. Remember, guys, the phone lines are still open, 253-993-3651. That's 253-993-3651. I don't know how much more time Joe's going to have. Maybe he'll text me and let me know what he's doing, or he'll pop back in here in a minute. But Raiders had a big day. I really do think that the Raiders had a big day. I really, really like – the one that threw me off obviously was the Witten one. I know it threw a lot of you off, but again, like I said early on in the show, we run a 2 tight end set. Foster Moreau has to get healed. He has to get better. This gives him the time to do so, as well as what a great ploy, especially in the red zone when you could judge both guys. I think I got Joe back right here. You back?
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I hit my.
No, you're good, man.
But yeah, Phillips. Thanks, Watch Raider. Appreciate that, Phillips. That's the guy. He's a dude too. But nah, John Q says Queen and Murray both put up with hammies at the combine and Simmons killed it. That's why Simmons thought, Simmons was already the people I talked to.
Already there, yeah. Simmons has been the dude since day one.
He was by far the number 1 linebacker, and there is a big gap at Simmons, and there's a big gap before it gets to Murray. With the scouts that I've talked to and teams that I've talked to. So I would say that, obviously that helped. He maybe push him to top 3, but he was going top 7 in this draft, no matter what. So, but Simmons is just a different maker. And at the end of the day, you know, we're still a month and a week away. We're still 5 weeks away from the draft, just about 5 weeks or something like that. You know, we're right around the corner from it.
Yep.
But
things have changed too, because it's going to be a tighter window with not being able to get some of these guys to fly in for visits and all that. Are they still going to do that, by the way?
There's nobody flying in.
Yeah,
the league put a hole to it.
Yeah, so it's going to be.
They can do teleconferences. I think that's about it.
It's going to be different.
Yeah,
that could be a bonus for us, though. That could be. But we got a tape guy. We got a guy that knows how to watch tape, so that could help us out in that department.
Yeah, I like that. I do like the fact that Gruden and they're grinders. Mm-hmm. You know, they're guys that just all they want to do is sit and watch tape, and you know, I definitely like that, but there's something said about having the guys in coming to the facilities. I guess I like that, and I know
extra
we can't
interview, extra workout. You kind of throw things at them that you want to see them in certain situations, especially we're talking linebackers here, right? Like if they want to put Murray through some tests, just to kind of feel like if he's going to be that dude that they want, regardless where they want to put him, right? At the wheel or potentially in the mic even later.
It'll be the will. Littleton's going to be playing.
Well, I'm just saying, like future wise, right? Testing him out, feeling him out, testing him, right? That's the opportunity they got to do it, right? They don't get a lot of time at the combine to get that much out of them. It's real quick, bang, bang. They're not going to get.
You get your, I believe it's like 15 minutes, and you get your 15 with them, and you can run through whatever it is that you want to run through, and kind of get a feel. But I guarantee they've done their homework. I mean, they've already done their homework on all these guys. Look, if I'm gonna pull the curtain back a little bit, draft boards are pretty much set by the combine from teams. The combine doesn't dictate.
There might be a couple of question marks depending on how it falls.
Exactly. Like there's a couple guys that if you watch tape and someone like, let's say you watch tape and you have Terrence Quaidus on film, is you like him, but all of a sudden he runs a 4.3 at the combine and he does 225 27 times, the 43-inch vert and a 13-inch broad jump, and you're like, whoa. Let's go back and watch this tape a little bit further. Let's see where are these numbers coming from? Why didn't he show this in college? But then sometimes you got guys that run slower and they don't lift as much, and then people, their stock is dropping. Not necessarily. The tape don't lie. The combine is
run slow, play fast.
Yeah, and the combine's for fans. They made it into a fan thing. I honestly, I may be the only person in media that feels I hate the new format. I hated it in prime time. I hated it with a passion. Go back to that Wednesday or that Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Do it in the morning, and do it that benefits the team. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I noticed they changed that up. They pushed it towards the evenings.
Exactly, and I think it took a lot from. But I do like the fact that quarterbacks or running backs and quarterbacks were together, receivers and tight ends. I like the fact how they did that in terms of and then how they split them up into two groups
and all that.
Yeah, and they split them up in like two groups around the same time. I like that. I like some of this, but just in the prime time and the way they did it, I think it to me it muddled things up and it mucked things up.
Yeah.
That's just one of those. If Derek Brown at 12, that's that big. He's the big D tackle from Auburn, I believe I was talking about earlier.
Yeah.
He's going top 7. He's going to be the first D tackle off.
Not only is he not going to go 12, I think that they knew that too, and that's probably why they went and got Malik Collins to fill the gap.
Well, yeah, and look, you can't have enough good D tackles in today's NFL.
You got to have a rotation.
And Hurst had a really good year. Malik
Collins, primarily a third, fourth down guy, though. But yeah,
who, Collins?
Hurst.
No. Hurst, yeah, but that's the thing. Like I tend to think that
but a guy like Collins will free Hurst up more.
Yeah, I think he's gonna be the guy next. I think Collins complements Hurst extremely well.
Perfect,
extremely well.
I think so too.
But the draft boards but just to be clear, draft boards are done before the combine. That combine just makes people open their eyes a little bit more. And do we have to? But they use it more for the medicals and the interviews.
Yeah.
All the other stuff is what it is.
Speed.
I don't care about a 40 time. I care about the 10-yard split, and in some cases, the 20-yard split. That first 10 and that first 20 are the most important thing to me because again, no one's going to run 40 yards straight. You know what I mean? So I could care less if.
Very rarely, anyway.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Oh, everybody's running 40. You run you run a 4.2 something. Great. Look,
how fast can you get to that top speed?
I want to see, can you maintain that top speed coming out of your break? If you're a receiver, or when you open your hips and you're a DB, how quickly you come out of that. I like the broad jump. I like cone drills. I like the vert because that shows me explosion. That shows me hips. That shows me quick, fast twitch. I like fast twitch muscles. That's stuff that I like when I'm watching the combine. I'm watching that. I could care less about he ran a 4.27. I don't give a damn about a 4.27. What did he run that 10 in? Especially if he's a linebacker or a D tackle or a safety. That's just me. I used to love the combine, but as I've gotten older and the more I talk to people around the league, I don't know. It is what it is.
All right, guys. I think we're getting close to wrap it up. We'll start another conversation. We'll give you guys a chance to call in. I can't believe that nobody wants to jump and even yell at us, even just a little bit, or give us their opinion, but that's all right. We'll continue to do this day in and day out as the Raiders make moves. Once again, the phone number is 253-993-3651. That's 253-993-3651. Joe, go ahead and wrap up your thoughts just for the day. What was your best move of the day, and maybe your best move in the last two?
I think the best two moves. Well, there's three moves that stand out to me that could be considered the best moves. It would be Kwiatkowski, Littlleton, and Collins. All feel huge needs for the Raiders. Kwiatkowski's going to bring toughness, a grittiness, sneaky athleticism. Littlleton's going to be athletic. He's going to be able to help in coverage. He's going to be able to fill the running gaps pretty well, as will Kwiatkowski. And then Collins, again, I thought people really underscored the Raiders' huge need up front at the D tackle position. And for them to add, to me, the top defensive tackle on the board, and you add him at we'll see what the numbers look like. But and to add these guys with, quite honestly, really good deals. I think Nassib is the only one that has a deal that makes me kind of raise my eyebrow a little bit. Like, my man is getting $17 million guaranteed. I mean, it's 5 less than Littlleton.
Right.
That's more than Kwiatkowski, but they have a better idea what they want to do. And I guess the last one I have to go along with it, I would say stay tuned for tomorrow, because tomorrow there's going to be some more moves made.
Secondary,
and I think you're going to see the DBs come off the board. I think tomorrow you're going to see the run with the DBs and the receivers.
Yeah.
Not just with the Raiders, but in the NFL. Names to watch: Chris Harris, Demarius Randall. Those are two names to watch.
Right.
If the Raiders sign Randall, it shows me that Heath is going to be that swing safety, key special teamer.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, I wouldn't be surprised if you've seen the Raiders trade back a bit and end up with a guy like Delpit in the draft. That's to play alongside Abram. That to me would be, and I had one person in the NFL tell me that they think Delpit is vastly underrated by a lot of people. They think that he's a legitimate dude at this level. So those are the key thing takeaway the last 2 days, and even looking forward a little bit.
Yeah, my three right now. I mean, obviously the Littlleton move was fantastic. I would put Kwiatkowski up there as well. The only thing is, I don't know enough about him. I don't want to be some homer just because he's a linebacker and just speak off the top of my head just to say it. So I'm gonna definitely go with Collins because I think that's gonna open up a lot of things in the middle of that defense and the outside. And then, the oddball. I like the oddball pick of Witten. This league's all about matchups, guys. And what that's going to cause is some matchup problems for a lot of defenses. If you got two tight ends set with, like, I've been banging that all night, right? But you got Waller and Witten out there on either side. Which one's staying? Which one's going? I mean, it's matchups. It's playing with people's heads. It's getting people, especially in the red zone. And it's something that Mayock talked a lot about, is not being able to get the points in the red zone. And Witten's going to be a huge part of changing that around. So, I kind of really, I didn't think I would be that much excited. I'm not necessarily excited, like, ooh, like confetti falling down, but that's a smart move. It's more of a smart move for me than a great move.
No doubt. No doubt. And you know what, guys, we'll do this again tomorrow. Just so you guys know,
Yep.
Tomorrow I'll be recording another Q&A with your boy Q. We're coming back. It'll be on Franchise Sports Media as well as SB Nation's podcast network, the Silver and Black Pride podcast network. So you can email us raiderspodcast@gmail.com if you have any questions. But we're coming back, bigger and better than ever tomorrow. There's too many texts and DMs and tweets at us for us to not do it. We always planned on it, just scheduling. But it's gonna be nothing but draft, free agency, and then probably draft. We're not gonna rehash anything else. But so if you have any questions, email us RaidersPodcast@gmail.com or at Raiders Podcast on SB Nation @gmail.com. That's a long ass email address, but hit us up, and we look forward to putting out some more good content. And don't forget to the Franchise Sports Media YouTube page and go check out our articles. We have some stuff coming up. Again, tonight I'm writing the Raiders mock draft. And again, one of the guys that's going to be in there late is Javen White in the 7th round, or one of the last few picks. He's a guy I really like. So check that stuff out and appreciate the love and support, and keep following my man here. My man does big things. He's grinding hard, and this is fun to do with him.
Good, man. I just, again, appreciate the support from Franchise, and all the links are in the description box below. And before we get out of here, we actually got somebody that actually called in, so we're going to end off on a call. Yeah, we finally got it. Like right when we're going to say goodbye, someone calls in. So let's go ahead and take the call. You're on Night Live. Hello?
Hi, this is Miguel Reese from Bakersfield. How you doing, man?
Miguel Reese from Bakersfield. What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. I just thought I'd call in and let you know I've been watching your show since probably about this time back in 2014, man.
Yeah, it's been.
Enjoy what you've been doing. Thought I'd call in and say hey. And here's my question, something I've been wondering about these past couple of seasons. I know that this offense has oftentimes run out of some steam during games.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that at times play calling can be a little conservative at times also. Do you think that John Gruden is going to start opening up this offense now that we've got Witten, and we'll see what we can do in the draft with these wide receivers? Tell me, what do you think is going to change?
Me personally, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, man. I would like to think that he sees what's going on around the league. I know that he's still a big believer in his system. He likes to get the lead and run the rock. That's the reason why he loves Jacobs so much. Right. I mean, I think he's optimistic and open to anything, but like I said, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. I'd like to see him do it. I'd like to predict that he's going to do it, but it's going to be one of those wait and see things. Joe, what do you think?
I actually think that he is going to open it up a little bit more. I think he wanted to last year, but with obviously everything that happened with Antonio Brown, he was unable to. And at this point, he has to get the guy that he can trust to do that. And that's why I think drafting a receiver early is important. Getting a guy like Jerry Jeudy or somebody in here that can help him open that up, it would be very important. Everywhere he's gone, he's had good receivers, or really good receivers, or a group of receivers. I mean, look, we all know about Tim Brown, Jerry Rice and Jerry Porter. You turn around, go to Tampa, and you have Keenan McCardell, Keyshawn Johnson. So he always had a good group of receivers. He's got an okay group right now. I mean, Tyrell Williams, when healthy, helps out a lot. Hunter Renfrow had a really good, came on real strong in his rookie year. Let's see that jump in the second year. But after that, as a course, a lot of unproven people, including Zay Jones, who's been in the league a while. He needs to get
sir.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to get a receiver in here that can honestly open it up. And I think that would go a long way because he has a tight end, something he really didn't have that first time around in Oakland. He didn't have that in Tampa Bay either. So he's got some weapons, but he needs to get his number one guy in order for him to do what he wants to do. And I give him a lot of credit because he has evolved as a coach. It's not, the offense is very similar to what he ran, but he's opened it up a lot more. And he's had that those 10 years in the broadcast booth allowed him to study a lot of organizations and things that people do. And he knows in order to coach and to keep a job, you have to kind of change with the time. You've seen Andy Reid do it. He wins a Super Bowl. Belichick does that every season. He reinvents what he wants to do. When everybody's going pass, he's going run. When everybody goes even front defense, he goes odd front defense. When they're playing man, he's playing zone. That's what makes him great. That's what makes the great coaches even better than just a really good coach. So I do think you're going to see him open up the offense more, but he's got to get the guys around him that he can trust, and in turn, Carr can trust.
I agree, Miguel. I hope that helps, dude. Man, I really thank you for calling, bro. And from a Central Valley guys, we just hope that you're staying safe, dude, and take care of your family, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, man. You guys keep it up.
Yeah.
I'll definitely be tuning in,
and feel free to call back anytime, brother.
You got it, man. Thanks,
all right.
Mike.
Go Raiders.
Peace out, brother.
All right, bud.
All right. Just win, baby. Bye.
Just win.
Hey, so John N, he's asking about the number 253-993-3651. John, you got like
screen.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
How fast can you dial, brother? How fast can you dial? TikTok. And I was going to tell you too, I will see if he's going to call right now. I would like for us to try to set up maybe sometime before the season starts, or if this gets delayed, just to kind of fill the gap with content. Get Squeeze, get Q, and do like a big old Raider rant on here, man, and get some, maybe after the draft sometime. That'd be cool,
bro. Let me talk to Q. We may be able to do that tomorrow on here.
That'd be cool too, man. And then we'll fire up the phone lines. I know Q will bring a lot of traction. There it is. Look, he's calling in.
All right, let's do it.
Is it Sean? John. Is this John calling Night Live? Hello.
Yeah.
What's going on, John? How are you, brother?
I'm good. Thank you. You guys might already address this, but is there any safeties involved in our plan?
Is there any safeties involved in our plan as far as free agency goes?
Signing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're looking at. I'll let you take that one, Joe. You have all that down pat.
Yeah, you know what? There is. The guy that they really liked was Anthony Harris, and he was franchised by the Vikings. But the Vikings have him on the block, so they're not looking for a first round pick for him. They're actually they've talked to Cleveland about a 3 or a number, at least a third. They would like a second. If it's a 3 and maybe it's something next year, he could be an option. But Demarius Randall, I mean, that's the name I keep hearing. He was deep in talks with them yesterday. He played, like, Randall's interesting. He got drafted and Green Bay converted him to corner from a free safety, and he played there and played in the slot, and he had a good rookie year. And then he kind of regressed the last 2 years, and his attitude with McCarthy was somewhat of a question. And then he goes to Cleveland. They trade him to Cleveland. He plays free safety. I think he made it to the Pro Bowl. I think he had like 5 picks or something like that. He really balled out. He's a ball hawk on the back end. He always was a ball hawk everywhere he went, from college to even when he was playing corner. So he brings position versatility. He's a name to watch. They were in it. Who was the safety that signed today? The 49er safety.
Oh yeah, Smith or Ward or something.
Jimmy Ward. Jimmy Ward went back.
Yeah, Jimmy Ward. They were in it with Ward to the very end as well. And that just didn't work out. So they're trying to address that. They signed Heath, but again, like I think he's more of a swing safety, spot starter. I know,
Yep.
yeah, like somebody on Twitter had said to me that he's second in tackles for safeties the last 2 years, and he started every game. Yeah, great, but Dallas let him walk. If Dallas really wanted him, he's that special of a safety, they would have kept him. He only cost $8 million for $4 million a year. So let's be real. So, for me, that's a big time issue to back end as a guy that loves watching, defensive backs. And I will say, that's why I said during my last three things, I would, if the Raiders did trade back from 19 a bit, the guy I think to keep an eye on would be Grant Delpit from LSU. He's a ball hawk. He'll come up and hit you a lot like Abram. But he's more of a ball hawk than Abram. And he's a guy I think that, again, he can come down and cover. He's just a dude, and he's vastly underrated. So draft-wise, that'd be a guy I would definitely keep an eye on. Free agency, it would be Demarius Randall. And then, again, you also can move LaMarcus Joyner on that back end to play more free, which I don't think they're going to do, but he can do that. And then that would be like the two. And if Anthony Harris would be a pipe dream, but unless they offer like a 3 and 2 3s, a 3 this year and a 3 next year, and then they're going to have to pay him a boatload of money. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yep. Well, thank you for the insight, man, and for holding up the live for this last call.
Hey, no problem, John. We appreciate you calling, man. Number never changed. Lock it in your phone. We'll be on every night this week at 7:00 discussing what happened during the day, brother.
For sure. Thank you, man.
All right, man. Have a good night. All right, guys. I think we're going to wrap it up there. Remember that we'll be live every night right now this week, every night at 7 p.m. We'll be live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. So make sure you mark that on your calendar. And maybe we'll have something special tomorrow night. We'll try to put something together where we get Squeeze on here and maybe another guest. I don't want to count my chickens until they're hatched, but we're just throwing it out there that we'll try to beef this up and really dive deep, especially if we end up getting some DBs tomorrow.
Dave, I'll call Q tomorrow. I'll text him tonight. And we can do a Q&A on here tomorrow. And I'll see if Squeeze is available. If he is, cool. If not, it'd be cool to, us three. That'll be the way to go. That way you guys can call in, talk to your boy Q, Knight, myself. We'll get this thing rolling. Raider questions, Raider answers.
That'd be awesome.
Breaking everything down. I'm 100% down for that. 150% down for that.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man. That'd be a fun show, especially because that's going to be the real opening of the season. I think it'd be a great way to kick it off and having a guest on like Q that's been holding it down on that Lockdown Raider podcast and
my brother
Q&A and that cool banter and the guys everywhere. So man, I'd love to chop it up and talk football with him. I listen to him all the time. We share a lot of the same thoughts. So I think it'd be fun, man. So if we can make that work, that'd be awesome, and that'd be a fun show, and it'd be great for you guys to tune in. Get these phone calls going and get people fired up about the 2020 season. Yeah,
and hey, before we go, the coronavirus issue is global. It affects a lot of people. One of Raider Nation's biggest supporters, Hayden Not only he's in Australia. He did some stuff with Silver and Black Today for a number of years, or for about a year or so. Hayden's been somebody I've talked to, has got great insight, went through a very real health scare in the last year, prayed my tail off for him. A lot of people have. He's finally back to full recovery. Really, my man was about to get married this weekend, and because of the coronavirus, everything got kind of put to a halt. So let's just keep, Hayden does some things with a lot of different people. I know Silver and Black Today did some things. He was on their YouTube page earlier, I believe. But give Hayden some love if you guys can on Twitter.
Absolutely.
He's a real good dude and huge. I mean, when it comes, he's got people in the building there too. So when he says something like I actually pay attention to what he says. He's not wrong too often. So I'm glad my man's back and glad he's healthy. And all you guys, man, look, this is gonna sound really crazy to say, but wash your stinking asses, wash your hands, wash your faces. Let's get Yeah, be clean. Let's get this thing over with as soon as possible because I'm tired of being cooped up. I'm tired of the world being at a standstill.
I want my sports back. I want my sports back. I want my family to be safe. I want my kids. It's been 3 days already, man. This has been 2 days. 2 days that they're supposed to be in school. These guys are wild. They're wound up, bro. They're wound up, and they need to get outside and run.
There is 9 children. Well, there's 6 children in this house, all of which are supposed to be in school.
Yeah,
all of which are not.
You got one on me, man. I got 5 in here, so yeah.
Well, yeah, and I also
we got daycares. We got daycares.
Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, there's a lot of children running around, and hey, 9 months from now, there's gonna be a lot more children because people are gonna be in a situation where, well, we can't. I don't got no sports on. Hey, baby, come to bed early.
Yeah, eating that time away. Got it.
Quality time.
Raider Nation, as always, it's been a blast. Thank you, Joe, man, for being here. Guys, don't forget, all the links are in the description below. FranchiseSportsMedia.com, Franchise Sports Media on YouTube, Franchise Sports Media LV, Twitter, and Facebook. All the links are in the description below. We'll see you tomorrow night at 7. And until then, stay Raider strong.
Yo, to all my noops.